Shalom, Rukuba, welcome. It's a very Jew-heavy day today. David Wood was live with a messianic Jewish rabbi, and then Ash Mays went live with Radar, and here we are. So it's a whole lot of Jews on the internet out there today. They're
Taking
taking
over the
over.
internet.
I know all the groypers are right. Oh no. Anyway, so today we're going to be going through Genesis. It's probably 16 through 19. We'll probably end on 19. Um, we definitely can't get to 22, and 22 is gonna be pretty based.
Oh yeah.
So, next week, because I am too lazy sometimes. Also, I had a death in the family, so I had to travel for a funeral. The Jews. Yeah. Hello. TikTok time to rock. Yes, it's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here. Teach you about Judaism. Yahudias. Yes.
Spider-Man, I think is how they would pronounce
Anyway, I should do a stream just with my Jewish costume. Anyway, yeah, I have a video coming out soon. It's gonna be pretty fun with the ape Sabbath breakers turned apes.
Oh boy.
So that's gonna be fun. uh, anyway, this stream we're gonna be going over some other things with Abraham, including 18 and 19, which are two of my favorite chapters of the Bible. And then next week we'll go over typology because I didn't have enough time this week because I was traveling for the funeral to write notes for the types. Like I could do it off the top of my head, but it's not going to be as good as if I were to like actually think about it for a time and write it down. So we're gonna do that next week, and then we're gonna do all of the types so far up until Isaac, and it's gonna be probably a really long stream, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So, yeah. Yes, I am. I'm the one who said I was gonna make a video on Hinduism. I know the base level Hinduism. Like I could probably explain it to you better than most Westerners. But I'm not quite. So that's my project for next year. A project for this year is debunking Islam, which I think we will be able to accomplish very thoroughly by the end of the year. Next year, we're going to be going through Hinduism slash Buddhism, maybe both at the same time. Buddhism is really not that deep, to be honest. So we'll probably spend a lot of time on Hinduism next year, creating these same type of resources. So we'll be able to create searching tools, websites, links. I can make 10 websites on the plan I'm on. So I'm going to make all 10 of those websites. And we're going to have websites for Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, atheism, even have something dedicated for that, even though that's again that's really not that deep. Atheists are faux intellectuals, in my opinion, most of the time. Anyway, yeah, check with the 9-hour stream. Yes. That is accurate.
One of Chris's shorter ones at 9
I know,
hours.
right? Yeah. Me and Tommy are legitimately going to do a 9-hour stream on Joseph. Whenever we get to the Joseph typology. So we'll probably cover like 10 chapters of Genesis, and it's going to take 9 hours. It took 6 hours the first time I did it with just me and Tommy in a private call for a Bible study, because I do Bible studies offline too with a variety of people. But Tommy is one of the guys I was discipling. I guess I still technically am, but he loves typology, so okay, let's do Joseph. And then we went through every chapter with Joseph and just laid out every single, like I can show you the aftermath. Hold on. So whenever I do typology, I tend to highlight things that are related to it. So like, hey, he's like Melchizedek, he's the servant of the king, like he's Salem, bread, wine, priest, God Most High, like all of these things. So like I highlight things that are types of Christ. So if I come down a bit to like where Joseph starts, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's yeah, yep, oh, yep. Then skip through the Tamar section, and then get back to Joseph, and oh, yep, 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 yeah, oh, yeah. Well, then there's some of these I probably could have highlighted as well, but then grapes and bread and all that, yeah. So this is just the stuff I was highlighting as I was going through the study with him. Yeah, and then it just keeps going. You can actually do a lot of just just this. So all that stuff highlighted that you've seen so far, we're gonna cover in one stream, including a couple more chapters that we haven't made it to yet. So that is my ambitious stream. This stream is not nearly as ambitious. Next stream
So
will
about 6
be
or
a little
7 hours
ambitious.
this one.
Yeah, next stream should be about 4 hours. The Joseph one is legitimately going to be 8 hours, and I think I'm going to have my wife take the day off of work, and me and Tommy start at like 10 a.m. and then just go, and maybe even take like a food break halfway through. I don't know, but yeah. Also, then they beat you to it for the atheist website. It's just Reddit. It's cute. Anyway, so let's start out with Genesis. How you guys doing? How everyone doing? Everyone needs some prayer request or any questions before we jump into Genesis? Before we go into better shit.
I'm having a pretty good day, Chris. Circumstantially, things are as they usually are, which is just busy and difficult. But seeing David Wood's guest, and then seeing Ash and Radar on with each other, and talking about Passover and the biblical holy days, and we got Passover coming up this Friday night.
Mhm.
Very excited. It's a good week.
Yep, I'm recording my official Passover video tomorrow. So it's going to be a pretty awesome week as far as all the Hebrew and everything else is concerned. So I'm taking a break of Islam videos for a little bit just to record one based video on typology of Passover, which we did a stream on. So if you don't want to wait until Friday, you can watch the stream a couple weeks ago that we did it.
And if you
where
got
we
4
went
hours
through-
to spare.
Was it 4 hours? How long was that stream?
Probably not. Probably not.
I think that one was shorter because we had Christian with us, and he just makes all of them shorter.
Or no, that one I think we had Tommy with us, didn't we?
I don't think so. Torah law is based. In fact, it is talking about Hanukkah, Passover Seder. It was only 3 hours, but that was a really good stream. Oh, I did have Tommy. Look
Yeah,
at
I
that.
thought Tommy was there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that was the last video. I think that was the last stream I did with Tommy. Ironically, just because I can only stream at night now, and he's British and he can't be awake at this time. So it's currently like 2 a.m. for him. 3
Well, he can
you
be,
know,
but he
it's
shouldn't be.
casual.
He's
Right,
a cheeky
yeah.
boy.
Yes, he needs sleep. He needs to stay alive and whatnot. Yeah, dude, this week is gonna be based. I'll probably throw out some shorts on Christian content throughout this week just to make it less Islam focused. We're only gonna do one stream this week, and I might even do a Bible stream this week over on Wednesday. With Sons of Thunder Apologia. I'm sorry if that was loud. I just punched my mic in the face. Anyway, so yeah, let's jump into I was gonna say Genesis again. Let's jump into Genesis.
Yeah, it's very Swedish, this Genesis.
Yes. Das ist gut, yes. Anyway,
Sehr gut.
sehr gut. Bitte. Anyway, now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian servant whose name was Hagar. So Sarah said to Abram, "Now behold, Yahweh has shut my womb from bearing children. Please go into my servant woman." Same thing, really. He went into her and produced a child through her. And Abraham listened to the voice of Sarai. And after Abram lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Abram's wife Sarai took Hagar, the Egyptian, her servant woman, and gave her to her husband Abram as his wife. So he went into Hagar and she conceived. Wow, that's way more explicit than he knew her. He literally went into her. Then she saw that she had conceived. So her mistress became contemptible in her sight. So she was like, haha, I'm better than you. My womb works, yours doesn't. Na 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 boo boo. And Sarai said to Abram, "May the violence done to me be upon you. I gave my servant woman into your embrace, but she saw that she had conceived, so I became contemptible in her sight. May Yahweh judge between you and me." I honestly don't remember why I have these ones highlighted. Some video I probably made like a year and a half ago, but uh yeah,
You got to start doing like Tommy and color coding things.
I know. Yeah, I'm gonna do all my typology in blue because I have a bunch of color options I can choose from. So I have my yellow highlighter, my red highlighter, my purple highlighter, my pink,
Ooh.
orange, green, gray, brown, blue, and it actually stacks them. So right now, this is all of those colors. Uh,
And all
but
those rainbow colors will tie us nicely into getting into Sodom and Gomorrah.
right, yeah, they're the original Pride Month. Um, anyway, so we have Sarah not trusting because this is after the covenant was already given with Abraham that she would conceive, and she didn't trust that. And she tried to do it her own way. And she also calls like violence, which is kind of wild, but she wanted to do it her own way. And it's like, oh well, God, I don't need to wait and have faith and trust in you. I can just do it my way.
Mhm.
And that produces awful results every single time. This is also one of those cases where polygamy is bad. Imagine that. Polygamy, not a good idea. Anyway, so we have a case of polygamy here. Now they are basically bickering about, hey, I'm a better wife than you because I can produce an heir for Abram and you can't. Na boo boo. And Abram said to Sarah, behold, your servant woman is in your hand. Do to her what is good in your sight. So Sarah afflicted her and she fled from her presence. That's pretty wicked. That's pretty evil.
Yeah, I
And
think
we
it's
over.
interesting because well, not Abraham, but of Ram here. It says earlier that Hagar was given as his wife,
Mhm,
and yet here we see him say, "Well, she's your maidservant, so you do whatever you want," completely shirking the husband responsibilities.
mhm, yeah. Oh, it's literally just Isha. Yeah, literally just wife. Yeah, like it's not concubine. It
Hmm.
is just wife, but it's not the wife through which the promise is given. So he has three
Hmm.
wives. He has 8 children altogether, and only one of them is blessed through the covenant. The other 7 are not. So anyway, um, yeah, your servant woman is a wild statement there when
Hmm.
she's really already a sister wife. So I would say Sarah is sinning pretty bad here
Hmm.
with this like afflicting her. I'd also say Abram's sinning here.
Hmm.
And whenever we talk about like, oh well, the prophets can still sin
Hmm.
in the Bible,
Right. This
and
isn't Islam.
uh, right, it's not Islam, it's not rabbinic Judaism either, even though those are the same thing. But in rabbinic Judaism slash Islam, uh, they have the view of the sinlessness of prophets, the Ismaid doctrine. Um, that it comes from the rabbis because they wanted to establish their own authority and say, hey, we are like them. They were sinless, we're sinless. You can't question us, even though we don't have a Sanhedrin, even though we don't have a temple, even though we don't have a priesthood. We still have the authority of the prophets because we have the divine spirit on us. And everyone who has the divine spirit on them are free from error. So, how can I make a new law? Well, it's because I have the divine spirit. I have the ability
Mm.
from God to do it.
Which
Yeah.
gets really wild when they get into
See you,
David
brother.
and his stuff, how the rabbis explain that away
Right.
with Bathsheba and everything. And
Wicked, evil,
yeah, pretty
awful. Yeah.
weird
Yeah.
loopholing going on there.
Yeah. As far as like the passages of the Talmud I hate the most, obviously Jesus pooping, like, or not pooping, Jesus boiling in poop is would be number one just because it has to be. But
Hmm.
that is a close second. Like
Yeah,
that is such a wickedly evil idea. It's crazy. Anyway,
yeah.
yeah. So we have today in our Bible study in Job, the topic strayed, and we got into Sodom and Gomorrah, and I shared with Joel Kramer's video, which I'm actually going to talk about tonight with them. So it's pretty neat that you had that experience and you shared it, and now we're going to do this. So it's almost as if, you know, God plans things and stuff happens. It's neat. Anyway, but this is obviously not being protected from from sin. Well, now the question has to become, why is this in the Bible if Islam and rabbinic Jews kind of deny it? Now, rabbinic Jews don't, like, they know that this text exists. They don't believe that it was altered. They just change their interpretation. But Muslims say, "Oh no, the text is altered." Well, you have to create a motive for why this text would be altered. Why is Abram treating the mother of Ishmael, through which Muhammad is promised, negatively? It doesn't make any sense. What motive did the Jews have to do this? And it's like, oh well, they just hate Muhammad. Well, they don't even know about Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't even about Muhammad himself. This is about Ishmael's mother. So why would this be changed from the scribes? There's no motive for political power. There's no motive for monetary or sexual gain. There's no motive for theology or an ethical change either. This is becoming less ethical, not more ethical. So there's no reason for this to change, and it is embarrassing. It's an embarrassing detail that happened. So therefore, it's probably true. It probably actually happened. We have no reason for this to be false from a scribe or from, especially because Jews wrote it. Jews
Right.
have no reason to make Abram sin, and yet
And
he
thank
does
goodness
in
though,
multiple
thank
ways.
goodness for them preserving this text the way it is, because I'm following along, Chris, because my eyes are bad and I can't see the phone, with an art scroll Humash,
Mm,
and even in the rabbinic notes on this particular passage, they make Hagar out to be the villain, like they do
mm,
it with the David situation. It says, so it quotes the Shif Hatech Biyadech, your maidservant is in your hand. It says, to me she is a wife. I have no right to treat her unkindly, but to you she is a servant. If she mistreated you, do what you feel is right. Then it says, Sarah's intent was not malicious, but to force
mm.
Hagar to cease her insulting demeanor. But instead of acknowledging Sarah's superior position, Hagar fled. And then there's a follow up. Rabbi Aryeh Levine notes that it is incongruous to believe that a woman as righteous as Sarah would persecute another human being out of personal pique. Rather, Sarah treated Hagar as she always had, but in the light of Hagar's newly inflated self-image, she took it as persecution. So, I mean, when you read the text, you see Avram and Sarah being very human,
Mhm.
and I think it's very plain, and you don't need to mess with it. But you see here in the notes, they're wrestling with, well, no, Sarah could never have acted like that. She could have never done something like that. So it must have been Hagar that was the bad one, and it's just uh, very silly.
Yep. If we look at the way that this word is used, Yamnea, uh, this is used of like the Egyptian taskmasters over the slaves. It's used of a variety of times also, but you shall not inflict any widow or orphan. And it's also used for humble, violate, mistreat is one of the
Mm,
ways that it's translated. But they were enslaved and mistreated 400 years. So again, talk about the Jews
hmm.
in this is God speaking of the Jews in Egypt. And it's what we read last week with Genesis 15:13. Like, if you're saying that this here, because it pops up right there. That's the same word. It literally just means to mistreat, to afflict.
Mm,
Uh, and the way she was afflicting her might have been physical, it might have been mental, might have been emotional, but it was not good.
hmm.
You can say, "Oh, well, she's just disciplining her." It's like, no, no, doesn't. It's not what the text seems to say there.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, Jesus Christ is indeed King. Amen. Anyway, so we have embarrassing material in the Bible that actually adds to the truthfulness and credibility of the Bible. Now,
Hmm.
away from it, and every character has their own personality.
Mm-hmm.
So we can see subtleness in the personalities and the personality differences between like Moses and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and even Rebecca and Sarah.
And
They
all the
have different,
prophets too, all the like
and all the prophets. Yeah.
Nehemiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah.
Isaiah has a great sense of humor. Um, yeah. Like you have so many of the people, like even just like of the books Moses is writing, not even having to go to the rest of the Tanakh, but just going to the Torah.
Mm-hmm.
Every character of the Torah has their own personality
Mm-hmm.
as much as we get of it, because there, obviously some people only have like a verse or two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they all have a different sense of writing and style, and it's interesting that it is that way when, logically, if it's one author, you shouldn't really expect that. Like Muhammad, everyone in the Quran is identical.
Right.
They're all Muhammad. Which is pretty amazing. But the Bible doesn't have that. And that's pretty incredible evidence towards the truthfulness of it. Again, you couldn't rest your case on that, but that would be
Right.
in favor towards actual knowledge of the events, or at least very good quality writing back then.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, again, bucking away from the genre of the time. So the Bible is
Right.
not a product of its time. It seems to be a product of God. The Quran appears to be a product of time, not a product of God. So we have, and
Mm-hmm.
you can do that with any of the other religious books too. You can do that again with the Hindu texts, the Buddhist texts, um, even Jehovah's Witness or uh, Joseph Smith. Like the
Yeah.
Book of Mormon is a product of his time. He only had the knowledge that was available to him at that time, and his language and everything else that he uses, it is of that time.
Mm-hmm.
Even quotes from the King James Bible. So it's
Not on
yeah,
purpose. That's the best part. He's
yeah.
trying to write it in King James English, but he's not very good at it. And
Mhm. Mm.
by the way, on just on that topic, real quick, you probably didn't because you're so busy. Did you catch God Logic's debate on the Trinity with that Mormon guy?
Oh no, I haven't seen the new
Oh,
one.
it's so good. And
Yeah.
so that's all I'll say. But I encourage anybody who uh, either knows Mormons or speaks to them regularly. That's it's not very long and just very good.
Yeah.
Uh, Succinct and to the point, and but rather than getting off on a Mormon tangent here,
No, no such thing. Anyway, um, yeah, no, I could talk about Mormonism for a while. We probably just need to do a Mormon stream at some
that
point.
would be good. I mean, I spent like a year and a half every once a week meeting with missionaries. Uh,
Fun.
and
I, they blacklisted
it's
me.
oh lucky.
No, I had one conversation, um, and it's actually happened every single time I've moved. So I moved like 5 times
Mhm.
in 5 years. It was not a fun time in my life, but we
Wow.
kept moving because God kept blessing us. So we went from a one-bedroom apartment to a two-bedroom apartment to a smaller house to a larger house,
Wow.
and we moved into the first bedroom apartment from across the country. So we moved cross country, then we moved, then we moved, then we moved, then we're here. So every couple of years we were just moving. My wife is sick of it. She says, "I'm not moving again until we are in our forever house or I die."
Moving is one of those
Okay.
things that's it's the worst possible good thing. Generally, sometimes you have to move in haste or for bad reasons, but even like when you're moving to a good place, it
Yeah.
is not fun, especially if you have kids.
Oh man, that's been yeah. Luckily, most of those moves were without kids, but we did have
Mm.
dogs and we had a pit bull that hated humans,
Oh,
which
well,
also didn't really add to the experience. Anyway, that was the point of that was every single time I moved, I would have a new set of both JWs and Mormons come to my house, and then they would stop coming to my house until I moved to the next place. Um, because I would talk to them and
mm.
they would instantly blacklist me. So, you know.
Yeah, I was too new at the time. I was just a Christian. And so,
Mm,
but I still knew enough Hebrew and I was already keeping Torah then, but I was a lot nicer than well, not nice, because it's always good to be nice. I was a lot less confrontational, I think, to
mm,
to faulty theology.
mm.
And so that's why that kept going, because I had it in my mind, well, they can come back, we'll talk some more, and maybe they'll see the light. But it was partly my fault, I imagine, because I wasn't pushing enough, because I had this
Mm.
very naive idea that, serve somebody the truth and how could they resist? But I wasn't taking into account growing up being indoctrinated and also all the spiritual things that probably come along with that. So it went on a lot longer than probably it would have if I were me now.
Right, yeah. No, I've had that same experience. Whenever I was like a teenager talking to JWs.
Hmm.
But now I know like, oh yeah, I could debunk your religion in like 5 minutes.
Right,
And then
right.
we can just go through that. So
Hmm.
I'm significantly more equipped for both JWs and Mormonism than I am
Hmm.
any other cult. So even like Black Hebrew Israelites, I can make a case against it, but it would not be nearly to the amount of depth or
Like
studying that I am.
fine-tuned.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you can destroy JW teaching in literally like 3 Bible verses.
Mm.
Um it's amazing. It's so much fun. Uh but also you're helping the person. So it's
Right,
kind of like
right.
cathartic because they have no answer against it.
Hmm.
So for like the inner debater in me like wanting to challenge people, that's enjoyable, but also
Uh-huh.
you can help them see, oh yeah, I guess our theology doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Mm, yeah.
Which is very important.
No, not even John 1. Although you can go to John 1, they'll try to do Greek foo with you,
Oh
and then you have
yeah.
to fight in the
Greek foo.
Greek. So you
That's
can
a
do
perfect
that,
term.
and it works. Um, but it's going to be a much more painful experience doing that. No, just go to Matthew 24. Very simple. They believe that Jesus came back invisibly in the inner rooms. Do you know what the Bible says of Matthew 24? What would happen? It's very, very explicit. Oh man, my okay. 24 and 26. This is one verse you need to remember to talk to JWs. So therefore, if they say to you, behold, he is in the wilderness, do not go out, or behold, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe them. So this right here destroys JW teaching. I made a short on this. But that is the same even in the New World Translation. So you can go to their translation, which they are required to use. They changed John 1, they forgot to
Mm.
change this. So this is still present in the New World Translation, which is why I go to this first. Because this is again against their beliefs that Jesus is with the uh, upper council. I forgot what their technical name is at the moment. But there's like 9 dudes in New York that are um the inner room men. Um those guys, they talk to Jesus still, supposedly. They don't. There is
That's
no
an
inner
that's an
room meeting with
interesting
Jesus.
connection between them and the Mormons, because they have like the bishops and the people that have a direct
Mm,
line with God, apostles.
mm,
So that's interesting between the two.
yeah. Yeah, the devil is not very creative. Anyway, so verse 7. But for the JW teaching, just go to Matthew 24, Matthew 28:19. And then you can go to John 1, they'll fight with you that, but the Greek
Mhm.
for 28:19 is so simple and clear. There is no way to weasel around it. There's no Greek food they can try to pull at you. And most of them have never heard it because they don't actually, they don't encounter it. I'm pretty sure it's still the same, even in the New World Translation. I can check that real quick. So
While you
New
do that, Chris,
World.
I can't believe it's so early for me, but it must be my old age. But I'm gonna go attend to a quick personal live stream, and I'll be right back.
Okay, you're fine. So let me stop that, and then I'll share this. And share. Pull up. So this is what you have to go to. This is a little mini tangent to how to debunk JW teaching. You have to go to their translation. If you're not reading the New World Translation, they're not going to believe you. If you don't have this handy, which I own a physical copy, just I have it marked and highlighted, just open up quickly too, if they do come to my door. But if you have this open on your phone and you're reading it and you show them that's jw.org, they're going to let their guard down a little bit. So then you can actually reach them with the gospel. Because if their guards are up, you don't have that. So here in 19, this is the verse you need to remember. Go therefore and make disciples of people of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all the things I've commanded you. This name is singular in the Greek. So it's one name that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit share. This is the Trinity. This is one of the most explicit Trinity verses in the Bible, and they didn't scrub it. So you can go here, you can go to 24:26, as I brought up, but just to show you what it looks like in their translation. Therefore, if people say to you, look, he is in the wilderness, do not go out. Look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe it. So again, you can go to their resource, which they have to do. They can't actually Google JW teaching. They're not able to do that. So in order for them to encounter this, you have to bring it to them. But if you go to John 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God, they're translating it differently. So you then have to contend with what does it mean that he was a God versus God. And like, oh, well, in the Greek, there is a hole there, like an omicron, the word for thee, which is the same. It's used everywhere in Greek because they just throw that letter around like it's nothing. So in the Greek, it still makes sense that he was God, but you could also say he was a God. So how do you interpret it? That becomes the debate. But those other two passages, they can't debate that. They can't say that he is not with the Father and that he is, not coming back in the inner rooms. It's in their text. So you can go through that. You can go through a couple other places too. And you also debate the Yahweh versus Jehovah, but they are more accepting of Yahweh now. They still teach Jehovah, but they wouldn't like lose their faith because you prove to them that it's Yahweh instead of Jehovah. And you can also go to like Romans 10:9 and like other places where you have to confess with your mouth. Like, for if you publicly declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and exercise faith in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. These type of verses that are still high deity verses within the Bible are like Hebrews 1. Yeah. You can bring up these passages and it works. And you can go through it with them. You just have to be slow and more focused on it. But even I think like John 8, I don't think was altered in their version, but it's been a while since I have gone through it. But I'm going away, and you will look for me, and yet you will die in your sin. Where I'm going, you cannot come. The Jews will say, where am I going to go? Da, 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 da. For if you do not believe that I am the one, you will die in your sins. In the Greek, this is him claiming to be God. So unless you believe Jesus is God, you will die. And they believe that he was Michael the Archangel. So you can go through that. You can also go through the angel of the Lord passages where in what we're going to go through today, Genesis 18, Genesis 19. Genesis 19, you can go through this and say, hey, there's a Yahweh on earth and there's a Yahweh in heaven. So what do you do with that? You just can't. I forgot what verse it is. I think it was like 20. No. Oh, yeah, 24. Then Jehovah made it rain sulfur and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah. It came from Jehovah from the heavens. So again, even in their translation, you can still argue that Yahweh, there's a Yahweh on earth, and there's Yahweh in heaven. It's less explicit here because, again, they do alter the translation a little bit. But though that Matthew passage, They can't fight it. The Hebrews passage is harder to fight. Uh, even like so I guess my first two would just be the Matthews and then Romans, and then if you're desperate, I would go to John. But John, they're trained against. These other ones, they're not trained against. So you want to bring up passages and things that they don't have cultish mind control training on, so you can actually reach them with your words. Otherwise, they just revert back to their training and they're not listening to you. They're just waiting for you to say the things that they know how to respond to. That's a very different type of experience. So,
And for a bit of a cheeky foreshadowing, this will come up eventually for mine and Chris's uh, big uh, time-altering, world-changing showdown. But one could say that Chris is being a Jehovah's Witness to the Jehovah's Witnesses by using their translation and taking that to them. It's 1 Corinthians 9:20 when Paul says, to the Jews I became as a Jew, to the Gentiles I became
yes.
as a Gentile." Uh,
Yes.
that's an important thing to understand that Paul says, that a lot of people, I think, don't quite fully understand what he means there, and
Right.
but that'll be for another time.
Yes. You can use you can use people's own false beliefs that are close enough to the truth to show them the truth. Um
And that's the most
and
effective way to do it.
it absolutely is, because then you're tugging on something that they already suspect to be true. So if you're talking
Hmm.
about how the angel of Yahweh is different, what do you mean the angel of Yahweh is different? And you're like, oh, the angel of Yahweh is called God, which we're about to read here in
Hmm.
Genesis 16. This, I think, is the first time that the angel of Yahweh is explicitly called God. It happens a couple dozen times in the Bible. But here we have the angel of Yahweh is coming to Hagar. And you can go through these passages. You go through the angel of Yahweh, because I've met a bunch of JWs who actually are taught and believe that Jesus is the angel of Yahweh.
Hmm.
That's a big deal. That's a big problem. Now they're trained to believe that he's Michael, and they
Right.
just say that Michael is the angel of Yahweh. He is the archangel. There's only one archangel, which is biblical, by the way. There's not like 4 or 8 or 7 or whatever. There's one archangel. Arch means the highest. There's one highest angel. It's Michael, according to the Bible. Everything else is man-made folklore. Anyway, uh, so the archangel is also the angel of Yahweh according to their view. But if they accept that and they believe that, then you go through the dozens of places where the angel of Yahweh is called Yahweh explicitly,
And speaks
including
as
this
Yahweh.
one, and speaks, and then even gives commands, and even identifies himself in Judges 2:1 as the one who led the Jews out of Israel and then
Hmm.
gave the covenant law at Mount Sinai. So, yeah, pretty based. Anyway, we'll go through this. Then I'll probably go pee. We'll do 17 real quick, and then we'll take some time to go through 18 and 19. So now the angel of Yahweh found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to Shur, and he said, Hagar, Sarai's servant woman, where have you come from and where are you going? Conai Joe. And she said, I am fleeing from the presence of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of Yahweh said to her, return to your mistress and humble yourself under her hands. Moreover, the angel of Yahweh said to her, I will greatly multiply your seed. Oh, Stephen he left and came back. Hello. Can you hear me? Captain, keep going while he figures himself out.
Yes.
Oh, I can hear you now. Moreover, the angel of Yahweh said to her, I will greatly multiply your seeds so that they will too maybe so that they will be too many to be counted. And the angel of Yahweh said to her further, behold, you are with child and you will bear a son, and you shall call his name Ishmael, because Yahweh has heard your affliction. So this is like God hears. God hears my prayer, like, because Yahweh has heard your affliction, but God hears the name of Ishmael. This is super ironic because Islam is just not hearing from God whatsoever. Or Mormons and Jews not Jews, JWs, close in their views of Jesus. I don't know much about either. No, Joseph Smith was in fact the white Mohammed of the 18th century, but they have exact opposite views of Jesus. JWs believe that he was Michael the Archangel. He's a created being that is not God. But he did take on humanity to free people from their sins. They just have a very bad view of salvation and all sorts of things. They are a heretical group that will lead people to hell.
Mhm.
Mormons, on the other hand, are polytheist. And they're not
Yeah.
just a little polytheistic. They are the most polytheistic faith that exists, even more gods than Hinduism. And that's a
Yeah.
competition. That's impressive. So Mormonism has billions, trillions, quadrillions, untold number of gods because every god has a bunch of wives, and then the number of wives you have intercourse with, and then you produce spirit babies, and then you create a world to have your spirit babies inhabit physical bodies. Then you take that soul, throw it into a spirit baby, have that soul become animated, and then that soul will live out its life, and it can either do good and become a god by itself, or it dies, and so on. But each god can produce billions, trillions of gods. So you have like this
Mhm.
exponential, not even exponential, like super high exponent multiplication of gods throughout history. So there is like a near infinite number of gods within Mormon teaching. Jesus is just a god. He's a
Uh-huh.
child of Heavenly Father Elohim, as is Satan. So Satan
Right.
and Jesus are brothers. And Jesus is a god separate, not just tritheism. It's just ridiculous polytheism.
To
But
use
the primary god of this
a
world is
bib
Heavenly Father Elohim.
yeah, to use a biblical Hebraism, Mormons are the polytheists of polytheists.
Yes. Yeah.
Looks like I might be having some connection issues, Chris. I'm going to leave and come back and see if that might fix some stuff. Because I turned off my Wi-Fi because
Yeah.
it's at $104 a month. I'm not getting what I pay for. So I'll be right back.
Hmm. Actually, what time is it in Australia right now? Time in Australia. It's 2 p.m. Oh no, he could be on. Um, I'll message him. Oh, Stephen
Hmm.
rejoined.
Hey, there we go. I think there we go. I can see you,
Yeah, I can
Chris.
hear you.
Okay.
I can hear
Okay,
you.
good.
You're fine. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, um, that sounds like a bad trip. Yeah, no, they are. Yeah, I once busted a JW on monotheism because I got them to admit that the Bible teaches that we should worship Jesus. Yep, yep. It's pretty easy to do. Kind of embarrassingly so.
Mm.
Anyway, and he will be a wild donkey of a man, and his hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand will be against him, and he will dwell in the face of all his brothers. Yeah, Sebastian's in Australia. That is why I brought it up. Anyway, uh, I have made the case that if there is any such prophecy of Muhammad in the Bible, this would be the only one that would be possible to be about him, other than like false prophets, which he obviously fulfills. But if there's
Mm.
any mention whatsoever of Muhammad in the Bible, the real Bible, this would be your best bet. And he's called a wild donkey of a man who everyone hates him and he hates everyone. And he is going to try to kill everyone. It's like, yeah, that's pretty accurate of Muhammad.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, especially because the term for donkey here, pera, that it literally just means the wild donkey or like a zebra of Africa in the Middle East. And those animals are the most violent animals on the planet. Um, Zookeepers are maimed more by zebras than by lions, tigers, and bears combined every
Really?
year.
Oh my,
Yes.
I feel like I ought to
They're
say.
they are the most violent animal we keep in zoos. They just choose violence for no reason whatsoever.
Well, and it's funny too
Um,
that,
yeah.
and not to go off on any more tangents, so I won't get in depth. But the Arabic term, well, not the Arabic term, the Quranic term for Jesus, Isa, is
Mhm.
literally Isa from. Uh, it's just a directly Hebrew for Esau.
Yeah, it is.
Because in actual Arabic, if you translate it, it would be Yeshua.
Mm.
And that's what a lot of that's what Arabic Christians will say for Jesus. They won't call him Isa. That's a Quranic term, and so that's another argument that can be made that Muhammad really didn't know what he was talking about, or he did it on purpose. And I actually think with all the malice and silly things Muhammad did, I think this is an example of ignorance to call Jesus Isa, because I'm guessing he was probably familiar with the name from talking to Jews about Esau.
Yeah, because they
And
would insult them.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, so Esau being a descendant of Ishmael, uh, continuing on the wild assery of a man, or the Zebraic, the Zebraic person.
uh, yeah.
He's a
Are they
Zebrew.
more violent than hippos? In zoos, yes. I'm pretty sure zebras injure more zookeepers than any other animal. In the wild, no. Zebras will like kick lions to death
Mm.
if, especially if they're in a pack. But like zebras will just kick like water buffalo, like not predators. They'll just be like grazing next to an animal and it decides to kill it. Uh, just randomly. If you've ever seen a donkey kick a coyote or a fox to death, zebras are that, but to everything. It's anyway. So in zoos, yes, zebras are more violent than hippos. Out of zoos, probably not, but hippos in the wild have to deal with like crocodiles
Mm.
and lions and like things they don't have to worry about in the zoo, so they're way more chill. But yeah. God forgot to tell zebras that they are prey animals.
Well, they
Absolutely,
gave him
yes.
such a cool outfit.
I
You
know,
can't
dude.
really blame them
Yeah.
for being the tough guys when they got zebra print skin on.
Oh, dude. Yes. 10 seconds in schizophrenic
Hey,
zebras.
we got Tommy.
Hey, it's on me, brother.
It's bedtime, young man. Or well, no, it's
Yeah.
kind of almost time to get up.
Yeah, it's his morning time right now.
Yeah,
Well, if you are waking up, Tommy, and you want to join the stream, let me know. You can just hop
that'd be
on.
fun.
Yeah. Uh anyway, any reason why JW girls wear burqas? I have no idea what you're referring to be honest. Uh no idea. Probably modesty if I had to guess. Like
Yeah,
head
I haven't
coverings and
seen
whatnot.
that. I would wonder though, because they are generally, and this is I've complained about this on a stream before, they are dishonest in promoting their religion, because I mean, I see them regularly with stands even on my way to work on the street corner. If you take a pamphlet from them or you talk with them, it's straight, fine biblical talk,
Hmm.
uh, which is very deceptive because it's their beliefs are not congruent with the Bible. But they do that to entice you or to make you think, wow, oh wow, this is my pastor said this stuff too, but these people are talking. So I would not be surprised. I haven't seen it personally, but I would not be surprised to see uh, Jehovah's Witnesses maybe having like a hijab on or something in order to talk with to win over Muslims. I wouldn't be surprised, but I have no personal experience seeing that, so I can't say if they do that or not.
Right. Yeah, JWs are pretty wild. Uh I think Steven's sleep deprivation has spread across the pond.
God forbid, but
and neither
It's
one of you actually
definitely
sleep.
strong enough to do that.
Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. The bedtime jizya. Uh, yes. Good. Go to sleep. It's way too late for you. But thank you so much, brother, for the memberships. I'll call you in the morning. Um. Anyway, so Genesis, real quick, before I go do my own live stream. And he will dwell with him in the face of all his brothers. So like everyone's hand against him and everyone hand like this prophecy already has fulfillment inside of Genesis itself in
Hmm.
like 9 chapters. So and they dwelt with so this is again talking about the lineage of Ishmael and all of his sons and everything else. And they dwelt from Havilah to Shur, which is the east of Egypt, as one goes towards Assyria. He settled in the face of all his brothers. So this is again a callback to this point. And it even talks about how his children are fighting later on in the text. So like
Hmm.
there is fighting, there is them dwelling together, there is like this whole prophecy is essentially already fulfilled inside of Genesis. Like you don't have to go outside of it. You don't have to go down to Muhammad, even though Muhammad does fit the description of a zebra.
Hmm.
You don't have to go to him to fulfill this prophecy. So if anything, that's just like a happy coincidence, or God just like, did it for laughs. But this is already fulfilled without it being about Muhammad. So you don't have to even if like, oh well, that does describe Muhammad. This might be God making a joke. Um, it's not. It's not what the Quran claims it is. Anyway, so then she called the name of Yahweh who spoke to her. You are a God who sees. For she said, have I remained alive here after seeing him? Therefore, the well was called Ber Loai Roy. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Now Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to him. So then she goes and spends time with him. Now this is pretty interesting one. So this is, you see me like Raz to see. Um, so the one who sees me is the name that she named Yahweh. So we actually
Hmm.
have like there's a couple people who name Yahweh things in the Bible. Um, there's also a bunch of times where Yahweh names himself things. It's interesting. I think this is the first time that Yahweh is renamed in the Bible, and it's by a woman. And that is so beautiful. I need to make a video on God being a girl dad because he just is. He's so much kinder to women. I need to pull out some examples where he's like correcting men and he's correcting women in the Bible. And other than like the ridiculously evil women, every single time there's a woman who's sad or hurting in the Bible, he immediately comforts her. And he does it
Hmm.
so gently and loving and such like uh it's so cute. And then we get some men, and it's like slapping on the back of the head, and like, what are you doing? You guys are idiots. Buck
Hmm.
up, stop being stupid. He killed Jonah and spit him back out in the land. Like, do better. Like the difference there between his treatment of men and his treatment of women is so amazing. Where God loves women so much and He cares for them so much, and we have intimacy between God and man, but we have especially intimacy between God and his daughters, that he
Hmm.
loves them and cares for them. Um, it is so awesome. And
Yeah.
I need to make that video, man. I just need to. Because once you see the examples, once you start like thinking about it, it's everywhere. It's so
Yeah.
funny. Anyway. Uh so yeah, she sees God. So she called the name of Yahweh who spoke to her. Who spoke to her? The angel of Yahweh. So the Yahweh who is
That's true.
speaking to her
Hmm.
is the angel of Yahweh, and then she calls him God.
Hmm.
Literally just El. So like just El, like El Roy. So God sees. Um,
Yeah.
This is Trinity type stuff. So you go through all these places where the angel of Yahweh is called God or called Yahweh unambiguously. Like this is not even like you can debate this. This is literally just the name of Yahweh who spoke to her. It is the angel of Yahweh. Anyway, a bunch of those places, if you want to make arguments for Jews, for the divinity of the angel of Yahweh, and like the multiplicity of the manifestations of Yahweh in the Old Testament, going through those passages does help.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and especially, I mean, what they name it, Be'er Lahai Roi, the well of the living one who appeared to me. The
Hmm.
So the living one appeared to her. That's clearly about God, even though it says that it was Malach Adonai, the angel or the messenger of God. So
Yes.
here we see it where the messenger, the angel appears to her, and she she uses the name El Roi, the God who appears to me, and then the name of the place, Be'er, well, Lahai, of the living one, Roi, who appeared to me.
Mhm.
I mean, you can't really get around that.
No, it's pretty based. It's pretty
Hmm.
cool. Okay. I'm gonna go tinkle.
Okay.
Go subscribe to Tommy's Testament if you haven't. It's pretty cool, dude. I'll let
Yes, very
you
good stuff there.
plan building your arc or whatever you were doing last time. I never actually checked.
Well, that's a weird thing to say, Chris. I don't know what you're talking about.
Uh,
Anyway, since I have been doing, I realized I needed to kind of get things formalized to be more efficient, guys. So here's Steven's schemes for world domination. So, real quick. Let's see. Okay. So obviously the boat idea was a bust. I didn't factor in that the earth is hard and boats don't do so well on hard earth. So there's me, and the red X symbolizes this is not a good idea. It also failed due to lack of funds. I was not able to put together a boat that could traverse hard earth. I think I would need some wheels, and those are very important, I guess, and also not very good boats. So I had a new idea. This idea involves something. Chris, I thought you had to pee. Where's that?
Oh, I did go pee. I peek. I have. What's going on with all these boat plans every time I go pee? Also, did you have that from last time, or was that new?
Oh, there was. I don't. You mean this? My my handy dandy art school Humash? I don't know. That's what I was holding him. I was just pointing out that there's. Look how cool this is because we have the Hebrew here and the Aramaic in the column here. So very useful.
What in the world? I'm watching the replay right now. What in the world?
Oh
When
no!
did you draw
Yeah.
that?
Draw what? How does that-
Oh.
I don't know.
Okay,
I
I guess
wish
I'll
I
have to
knew what
go
we were
back and
talking.
watch this. Oh, okay. Yeah. I can't. I guess I can't leave you on a stream anymore.
Genesis. Genesis.
Oh, okay.
We're all good. Everything's
So,
good. Everything's good.
I was drinking some water. And I looked at the clock in like the corner of my eye, and I saw your big drawing. Wow. Okay. Uh. Okay. Going back to it. This is keep going. Now you make me want to watch the stream from last week. Figure out what has been building up to. I feel like I'm in Fight Club or something. Like you guys are starting some insane cult behind my back. Uh, First rule of Fight Club: we don't talk about it. The second rule,
Foiled again.
yeah. So why are you collecting all that animal fat? Uh, so now it happened that when Abram was 99 years old, Yahweh appeared to Abram and said to him, so this is a 13 years later? Yeah. 13 years later.
80, yeah.
What in the world? The things I learned from the Drachenfels Naval History Channel.
Uh,
Okay.
the Deutschlanders, they designed a mini submarine with tracks to move over
Oh,
land with a secondary assault capability. It's very fascinating. It's German engineering right there. But they didn't factor in that holes are bad for water. So that's not so German engineering.
you can't blame them. They were all high at that point in
Yeah.
speed and math. Yeah. Anyway, the Germans took drugs in order to keep fighting. So, Yahweh appeared to Abram and said to him, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless, so that I may confirm my covenant between me and you, and that I may multiply you exceedingly. So, again, this is now, he appeared to him again. So, this is going to get relevant whenever we get to Genesis 18. And,
Mm.
Genesis 12, Genesis 15. Like, there's a bunch of places where God physically appears to Abraham. And now he's coming to him with a new name. He says, I am God Almighty. Walk before me, be blameless, so I may be establish my covenant between. He's already made multiple covenants between him. And he's like, okay, yes, I will. Then Abram fell on his face, and God spoke with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with you, and you will be the father of a multitude of nations. And no longer shall your name be called Abram, but your name shall be called Abraham. For I have made you the father of a great multitude of nations. Now, Ab in Hebrew is father of. So the beginning of his name, so like this name here, this Aleph and then the bets, Av or Ab, this is father. So Abram is essentially like great father, and Abraham is the father of many, if I remember
Mm.
correctly. So his name is kind of embarrassing for most of his life. For the first 83 of his years of his life, he didn't have any kids, even though they were trying to. And his name is literally I'm the great father. And he wasn't a father. Um, and then even before we have him becoming the father of many or the father of a multitude, uh, he still doesn't have but the one kid who wasn't even through the covenant to begin with. Um,
Mm.
what in the world is Jack on?
He's pretty
Anyway,
bold. He's chewing on that pygmy.
you are indeed Optimus Prime at the moment, by the way. You be robot-y.
Oh
I think
no.
you need a refund on your
Test
internet.
the
Yeah.
emotions.
Anyway, so de-optimize subprime. If I was drinking water, that would have gotten a spit take out of me. Being honest, I missed your opportunity. Anyway, but your name shall be Abraham. So even whenever he didn't have but the one son who wasn't even part of the actual covenant, we still have God naming him Abraham. And we can imagine, like, he must have had a sense of shame and guilt over his original name, Abram, because he failed as a father. And yet now he's still going to become the father of many, the father of nations, even. And I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings will go forth from you. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your seed after you. Um, he wasn't drawing off in the distance, cooking up some diabolical plans. Uh, anyway, so we have an everlasting covenant being given to God and his seed, which I'm sure we'll get back into the discussion whenever me and Stephen goes over keeping Torah. But this is a covenant between God and his people. So, oh, did the Jews ever get replaced by the church? No. The church is Jews, essentially. Like we are grafted in, we're the wild olive shoot grafted into the main branch being the Jews, blood Jews. Now they have to come into the faith in order to, be blessed through their covenant. They don't, there's no two ways of salvation. That's kind of stupid, or very stupid. But we do have that there is a covenant between God and the Jewish people, and that the Jewish people will be involved with a variety of things. Yeah, we are the prodigal son, so to speak. I agree. We were we were available to be a part of the covenant. Then we split, and then only that son, the original son, was faithful. The rest of the sons went out and lived out in the world, went bulling and wiling and all that crazy stuff. And then eventually, we came to our senses and we came back to God, the Father, um, through Jesus. So, pretty neat analogy there. Pretty cool. Pretty cute. Um, and I will give to you and to your seed after you the land of your sojournings, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. So, do the Jews rightfully own Israel? Yes, they have a reason to be there. According to the Bible, for you gripers, God said further to Abraham, now as for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your seed after you throughout their generations. This is my covenant which you shall keep between me and your seed after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised, and you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be the sign of the covenant between me and you. This will again get back into the conversation me and Stephen will have on keeping Torah. And if Jews need to be circumcised, we agree that Gentiles don't need to be circumcised, but do Jews need to be circumcised as messianic believers? But I'm not going to give my case now because Stephen isn't around to defend himself. Oh,
Test.
the ghost. The ghost of Stephen appeared. Oh no.
I heard circumcision and I couldn't resist. No,
Uh,
funny story though, because we mentioned it a couple times where it is a rumor in my family. I haven't been able to establish it yet. Am I still Robo?
no, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, I was circumcised at the age of 23 as an adult. Weird thing. I wasn't circumcised as a kid. I don't remember hearing from my parents why I wasn't. But then and this was back before the swab your mouth and learn your family members thing, but there was reason to believe that I was ethnically Jewish, and so I got circumcised, and it gave me actually the doctor who did it was a Jewish doctor, and it gave me a really good opportunity to uh, get share the gospel with him. And to his credit, uh, it was going to be a $1,500 procedure, and we did a bunch of talking before, and he went over everything, and I also brought him some stuff to read and discussed with him, and he never billed me for it. So maybe it resonated in some way with him, God willing, I hope. But at least it was that much to where he did it for free. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So anyone who doubts Stephen's faithfulness for any reason whatsoever, this man willingly got circumcised in his 20s
Was a
because he
lot
thought
of
he was a Jew.
stitches, and it was
It's just, woof.
it was something
Uh,
to it was a sight to behold. But
yes.
it's
Yeah.
a lot better to do
Uh,
it on the eighth day than it is on the 10,000 somethingth day.
mhm. Yeah. I thought circumcision was the same thing as it is. Indeed, it
Yeah, it
is.
it usually is. So it
Yeah.
was kind of weird. I don't know why my parents opted out on that, but they did.
Man. So
Maybe
you
it
are
was
just like Abraham with this.
yeah, maybe it was divine providence having me go witness to that Jewish urologist.
Yeah, could be. Uh, yeah. Every male among you who is 8 days old shall be circumcised throughout your generations. One who is born in the house or one who is bought with money from any foreigner who is not your seed. The 8 days old is relevant whenever you get into typology of Jesus. And if he was born near Sukkot, if he
Mm,
was literally born at the beginning of Sukkot, then the eighth day is the eighth day. It's actually a Jewish holiday where
hmm.
it's the end of work, which is so adorable. Um, Whereas if he was born on like Yom Kippur, the 8 days later, I think still falls near or on Sukkot.
It would be
Uh,
during Sukkot because
so during
Sukkot starts
Sukkot, yeah.
5 days after Yom Kippur. And I
So
would
it'd be the
say,
halfway point.
I think, and this is an argument from silence, which I know is not very popular, but for Jesus to be born on Yom Kippur, because it's first of all, it's not a, it's a very serious holy day, and you don't eat or drink for 24 hours. And the idea that people would be traveling for a census at that time seems very not feasible. And I think so again, it's an argument from silence, but I think that's a pretty strong argument as to why he wasn't born on Yom Kippur,
Mhm.
because I think I mean the Romans they didn't like Jews, but they also didn't like Jewish trouble. And the idea of trying to get everybody to go back to their
Right.
ancestral homeland during that time, or even also I would say during Sukkot, because Sukkot is a pilgrimage festival where all Jewish males of age are required to uh, come to Jerusalem. That would also be a bad time to have a census where everybody has to go to their ancestral homeland, because they would usually, I mean, be filling Jerusalem from around the world
Right.
with Jews.
Right. Which we know for a fact that it happened around that time period.
Mm,
Likely around Tishri 10 or 14.
mm,
Um, so he was probably, I mean, like maybe they just had different traditions or the Romans just didn't care and they just, dealt with it. Uh, but he was definitely born around that time period. So even if he says Rosh Hashanah, which would only be a
mm.
couple, like it'd be a week and a half off of
Uh-huh.
being exactly 6 months, because John is 6 months older than him. So
Right.
because John died in Nisan, you can then infer that Jesus was born in Tishrei. If in Tishrei 10 is Yom Kippur, Tishrei 15 is Sukkot, Tishrei 1 is Rosh Hashanah, or the Feast of Trumpets, the Day of
Yeah.
Sacrifice, and the Feast of Tabernacles. For those who don't know what those terms are, um, the 8 days old would still fall pretty close to each of those. So if he's born in Rosh
Mhm.
Hashanah, then the circumcision would happen right before Yom Kippur. If he was born in Yom Kippur, it would happen midway through Sukkot. If he was born in Sukkot, then it would happen on the eighth day. So no matter
Mhm.
which of the days he was circumcised on, it would have been significant culturally, and you can still get some like not necessarily fulfilled prophecy, but typology. So you can still
Mhm.
get that. Yeah. I only know one word in sign language. I can imagine what that word is. Um, yeah.
Spider-Man.
I have seen the sign language argument. Yeah, it's mostly face glaring and nostril flaring. My wife is
That
currently
seems like
learning
such a
ASL.
pleasant way to argue.
It's really not. Yeah, they get quite animated. Um, yeah. No, I'm learning a lot of things, and one of my favorite things. My wife is not going to be happy I'm sharing this. Um, so, you know, I probably shouldn't have made this full screen, but I want you is how you would say I want you, or I want I want, because it's both hands pulling in, like you want to grab something to pull it towards you. So I want to like drink or food. So like I want food is a very common statement we'd have with like my daughter or something. Uh, she gets hangry. But like the one for practice is basically like your finger out and you like slide your hand in front of it. Um but it looks strangely like you're like penetrating. So like the word for practicing looks like you're penetrating. The word for wanting looks like you're thrusting. So I was like, oh, I want to practice wanting. It's like the only sign language I'm using with my wife now. Uh, so she's going through like a very extensive course on sign language to be able to like preach the gospel to deaf people, because only like 2% of deaf people have ever heard the name of Jesus or like interacted with Jesus, which is kind of incredible.
Wow, really?
They are some of the least gospel preached groups on the planet. Um,
Wow.
I know it's insane. Like they are one of the like smallest. They're not a very big population, but even then, they are entirely unreached. They're basically an unchurched community.
That's so
And
interesting.
we need people going in and talking to them. We
Yeah.
need more resources for that. So she hurts on her heart to do that. So she's using it for Christ, and I'm using it to like tell her I want her. Um, you know, yeah.
That's super
Anyway,
cool.
yeah. I'm just helping keep things on track. It is what it is. Uh, Anyway, 8 days old, Jesus born in the fall, um, likely around or on one of those holidays, just because God is a God of order and expectations, and it just makes sense. Literally makes sense for any of those three holidays to be when Jesus was born,
Hmm.
which is really cool. All three of those are related to Jesus' coming,
Hmm.
which I did a stream on. I think
Hmm.
I made a video on that too for Christmas, but I don't remember. I planned to. I don't know if it happened. But I
I
did
think
plan
you
to.
might have. I
January,
think it was
December
on
25th.
Jesus's
Yeah, I did.
birthday. I
I
think you
did.
did.
Yeah, December 25th. I did it.
Yeah, and I
All
remember
of the
I
Jewish
I
festivals are about
I
Jesus.
tuned out because I was getting crusty and thought I want to get crusty with Chris.
Crusty?
Because of Christmas.
Oh. Uh, yes, there's a holiday about first fruits. Yes.
Yeah, that's the Sunday during
Passover.
Passover. So it'll be actually this Sunday will be first fruits.
Yeah.
And then at that
Um,
Sunday you start counting 50 days till Shavuot in Hebrew, or in Greek or English Pentecost, which is the
yes.
where we read about in Acts 2.
Yes. So Easter um is literally first fruits. Uh
Yeah.
so that Sunday, especially this year. This year Easter is first fruits, which is really cool. So we have Good Friday is Passover and first fruits is Sunday.
Hmm.
Easter. So like our Jewish and our Christian is perfectly synced this year. And it is like the 1996th anniversary of his death. So
Hmm.
we're getting very close to Jesus, possibly coming back for like if 2000 is like a magical number for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we're getting there. It's like four years away. Anyway, Jesus is the first fruits of the dead. He resurrected. He's the first fruits of the resurrection. So he resurrected on the first fruits, on the festival of
Hmm.
first fruits, where we have people resting, or like
Where the
celebrating the harvest, celebrating.
yeah, the
Yeah.
priests offered the first fruits of the barley harvest for
Yes.
that season. Just very
Yes.
fits in very well.
There's so much typology with it, man. It's awesome. And then Pentecost is the full gathering. That's 50 days later. So you
Hmm.
have the first of the harvest is Pentecost, and that just happens to be when the Holy Spirit came.
And also,
And
I think there is a scriptural support, although not overtly, but the Jews take Pentecost as the anniversary of the giving of the Ten Commandments on from
yes,
Mount Sinai, when God spoke them to the people, which does tie in very well to Acts 2 with the Holy Spirit coming. Uh, so and I think well, that's too tangential. For the dating of because there's a rabbinic problem now. Jews argue about when first fruits falls.
Right.
because biblically it's not given a date. It's called the oh, I don't want to screw it up, and I don't want to get way off topic. But there's not a for every other holy day,
There's like a
there's a
specific
mention of
day
the
of the
date.
month. Yeah.
And for first fruits, there's not. It's mentioned after the Sabbath during Passover,
Hmm.
which means
Right.
it's always going to be on a Sunday or a Saturday night,
Right.
starting on a Saturday night, but there's no
Right.
date for it.
Right.
And so, but again, that's maybe one day, maybe
Yes.
sometime over the summer, Chris, when we get closer to Pentecost, we could do something on that because
Yeah.
there's a lot in there.
Yes. Is there a chance Jesus died on his birthday? No, there's not. That is
Yeah,
actually
because it would be.
that is the old church belief, but it's not because John died in Nisan and John is 6 months older. So Jesus and John died in the same month. They didn't die on the same day, but they died in the same month. John died on I think Nisan 10 or something like that, and Jesus died on Nisan 14. So we have John and Jesus dying on different the same day or the same month, different day, and he was born 6 months prior, so it couldn't be the same. But as far as how do you sign language in sign language, you would do ASL. So you do like ASL for the lettering. So you're just like you just count or not count. You do the lettering itself of ASL and ASL. So like, hey, do you know ASL, then they would be like yes or no. Uh, anyway, I'm not like of the languages that I've learned and know, that is probably the least. Mostly just watching my wife do things. Anyway, but ASL's cool. It's a cool
Mhm.
system. And most of it's kind of intuitive, but their grammar is different and that breaks your brain. So they have more of it's not Hebrew grammar, but it's not Spanish either. I guess Hebrew is the closest. It's like Hebrew if you don't have et. Um. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah. I guess there are people who die in a Nissan in Nissan. Oh, okay, off track. Getting back on track. Let's go. We got two more to go. So then, a servant. I didn't read that one. And every male among you who is 8 days old shall be circumcised, one born in your house, or one that is bought with money from any foreigner who is not of your seed. A servant who is born in your house or is bought with your money shall surely be circumcised. Thus shall my covenant be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. But an uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that person shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. I've done many a stream on how the circumcision of the heart and the circumcision of the flesh are related. You can go back and watch that. I think I went over that with my Matthew stream I did with Tommy on the Sermon on the Mount, and I've gone over that a bunch of times. So I'm not going to go over that again, but it's pretty cool.
I'm
Then
sorry,
God said
Chris.
to Abraham, "What?
I I'm very sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah,
there's just the chat. Wonder Bucket.
what? Yeah,
That gets top marks from me, and
I
I've been
have a
trying to
buddy
abstain
who
from
was
dad
half
jokes.
Japanese and half Native American. His name was Nissan Pathfinder.
That's just that's the best
Oh
of the
man,
best.
I got nothing on that track response. Oh,
This is where we got to give Christian Gadfly an honorable mention.
oh
That's
yeah. Oh, speaking of which, he had a kid. He had a boy. Cute little baby. I've seen pictures. And he will not be streaming for a little bit because he's not currently sleeping. He said that he slept 4 hours in the last 24. So he's not here today, not because of some other reason other than the fact that he had a kid, and that is a uplifting and soul crushing experience for different reasons.
yeah.
Um, Part of that is you just don't sleep for a while. So yeah. Oh, you could just left it blank, man. I didn't invent that. I heard it long ago. You just could have taken the credit. That's good. Also gonna steal that in the future. Anyway, verse 15. Then God said to Abraham, as far as Sarah, your wife, I also love how I think this is the first time he's addressed as Abraham, other than just your name will be Abraham. Oh, no, I was
Up
wrong.
in
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
wrong.
up in verse 9.
Yeah, that is the first time. It's cute. And then there's like the instant switch between Abram and Abraham,
Hmm.
which the Quran fails to do. Anyway. Then God said to Abraham, as for Sarai your wife, you shall not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And I will bless her. Indeed, I will give her you a son by her. Then I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said in his heart, will a son be born to a man 100 years old? And will Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a son? I think that's the more important section. And
Hmm.
Abram said to God, oh, that Ishmael might live before you. But God said, no, but Sarah, your wife, will bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant for his seed after him. Interestingly, Isaac means like to laugh, or
Hmm.
like she laughs, he laughs. Uh, Sarah hasn't laughed yet. That's going to happen in the next chapter.
Yeah.
So he already gave the name Isaac, knowing that Sarah would laugh at this covenant,
Hmm.
which is pretty cool.
Very cool.
Pretty based. Yeah. As far as the how could we went over this last week with the lobsters not aging, and did they just age slower back then? And it is my opinion that they did age slower back then, especially because we see Abraham have six more children after Sarah dies.
Hmm.
So he just knocks it out with Keturah, I think
Yeah.
is her name. Uh, so he has a bunch of kids with her after Sarah dies. So he didn't do polygamy again. He waited. He didn't have more kids with Hagar either. So he, went back to his monogamous ways. Good for him. And then had six more sons. So as far as like after this point, she again is given over to the king of I think Og or whatever, whoever it was. She was given back to a king, just like she was given to Pharaoh. And he's like, "Hey,
Avimelech?
you,
That.
yeah, yes." Uh, he's like, "Hey, you so sexy.
Mm.
I'm gonna get killed for you." She's 100 and has had a kid, or she's like a 93, 94, 95 at that point. And he's still like, "Hey, you too hot. I'm gonna get killed over you." So
Hmm.
either she is the most attractive grandma of all time, or she looks like she's in her 40s or 50s,
Hmm.
and she's just really attractive still. Um, but she's past the age of childbearing for that generation. We get that in the New Testament. It says even though her womb was as good as dead, there was faith, and those in Hebrews 11. Um, Isaac was given even though her womb was as good as dead. So she was post-menopausal, but she was still sexy. So there's like this weird contention between her being 90 and barren, and her being so attractive that men would kill for her. Uh, it's strange. There's a strange little tension that happens there. And I think the most rational explanation is that they aged slower uh, in those generations.
Uh-huh.
I think we have biological genetic reason to actually believe that that was so too. As I
Yeah.
went over in the past streams, if you're interested in my argument for that, you can go in the past streams.
Yeah.
Um,
Several times
yeah,
we've discussed it in different to different
yes,
extents.
the last couple of streams. So, and Abraham said to God, "Oh, that Ishmael might live before you." And God said, "No, but Sarah, your wife, will bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant," and so on. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I will bless him and will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. He shall become the father of 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. So he also is the father of 12 tribes, 12 nations. And just as Isaac eventually becomes with Jacob. But we have God, Abraham loved Ishmael. He loved all of his sons. He loved his family. He's a very loving father. And even though the covenant wasn't going to come through him, that doesn't diminish the value of your children. It shouldn't, at least. If your children don't have these great promises or great anything, like you should still be a good father to them. And we see here he's like loving his son, even though it wasn't through his wife, but through a essentially a concubine. Um, that term is also kind of hard to use because a concubine biblically and a concubine like Islamically are very different things. A
Yeah,
concubine
yeah.
Islamically is a sex slave. Um,
Mm.
that's not what we mean when we say concubine typically, but that's what Muslims mean. As I found out recently, actually, I didn't realize that there was that big of a difference.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah. So,
And
but
also we
like,
get two things here. Notice that that Isaac does not learn this, it does not inherit this quality from his father because he had a favorite son, which was Esau.
right,
And
right.
and another fun little thing here in the Hebrew is in verse 20, we have we have a little bit of Hebrew wordplay. So it's in Hebrew it says Ul Yishmael Shematicha, which those two words in that sentence, and as for Ishmael, I have heard you, they
Mhm.
have the same root, which is shamat, to hear.
Oh yeah.
So so if you translate it literally, it says, and to God has heard, I have heard you. So there's a little bit of fun Hebrew wordplay there.
That is cute. I saw like a little squiggly connecting them there. The
Yeah.
Nige text on it. It's fun. What is the squiggly for? Is that just for the
So those are
wordplay?
cantillation marks. Every so you have different, they're for when you chant the
Oh,
Torah, when you do a
yeah,
public
yeah,
reading, they have
right,
melodies.
yeah.
And
Just like the
there's
Quran,
like
they sing song it.
four main different traditions. I tried to learn them for a while because I thought that'll make it easy to memorize certain things if you have a tune to it. It's
Right.
pretty interesting, but it gets tricky because even in within the each tradition, like Ashkenazi and Yerushalmi and all those, everybody still has their own personal little touch to it. So it's hard
Of course they do.
to yeah, so it's hard to get like uh unless you have specifically one person training you on it, it's hard to get them down because everybody adds a little bit here and there. But it's a neat thing, cantillation, because if you ever
Yeah.
listen to a public reading of the Torah, uh, it's a very pleasant thing to hear. It's literally sung.
Right, it is, which is again, I mean, kind of the Quran. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'll
Tajweed.
go with the Talmudic dilemma, but yeah, the
Mm,
Tajweed, they do cancellation, and there was an interesting point in time where Hebrew was a lost language, and
mm,
the only people who knew Hebrew was the scribes and people who would cancellate the Torah. So they kept Hebrew alive because they would sing the Torah in Hebrew, but they
mm,
didn't know what the words meant.
mm,
So they would sing phonetically perfectly the entire Torah. They would just memorize it like the Quran is memorized. They would memorize the Torah and be able to recite it in Hebrew, even though they didn't speak the language. They spoke Yiddish at that point,
yeah, or
or
even
a variety of
in
other languages.
Yemen, the Temani Jews, they read a verse in Hebrew, but then they read it, they recite the same verse in Aramaic afterwards,
Yeah,
and they do verse after verse after verse like that because they well, they do Hebrew, Aramaic, and then Arabic
right.
to cover all of the bases basically because they had been their languages, they had, from being where they are, it was Aramaic and then it was Arabic, and so most people knew Arabic as the language they knew, and so when they read the Torah they still would read the Hebrew, but then they do the verse in those other languages afterwards. You can find some videos of that on YouTube, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So that's how they kept it alive. So
Hmm.
whenever they revived it, 120 years ago, right before Israel became a nation again, they were started trying to revive it, but then when Israel became a nation, it like came back.
Hmm.
Um, they did that largely through these cantillations and like the ancient rabbinic writings that we still had in Hebrew. There's not many of them, but they were going through the process of trying to vocalize all of it to get the proper vowel marking. So they were going through the Masoretics, they were going through they didn't have the Dead Sea Scrolls at the time; those weren't discovered
Hmm.
yet. So they were going through the Masoretics and the cantillation, and they essentially reinvented or they revived a dead language, which is kind of insane. Um,
Yeah, and you get that typical uh, Nazi propaganda. It's not Nazi anymore of today, whatever flavor they call themselves. But
Groiper or
oh,
whatever.
Hebrew is just it's just an European language with Hebrew letters, and it was a dead language, and it's silly. Of course, a language that's as old as Hebrew is, you're going to have a lot of new words needing to be added because
Of
they didn't
course, yeah,
have television or
right,
telephone or university. Uh,
right, yeah. Universidad.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like in Hebrew, televizia is television.
Hmm.
But so the typical Groiper, brain dead, goofy person would say, "Oh, you see that's a fake word. That's not Hebrew. They're just
Right.
but
My
yeah,
favorite is
if
pasta.
yeah, pasta, and I think
Pasta is pasta.
sugar is sujar,
Yeah,
and
sukar,
salad is
which is
salat, I think.
yeah from the Latin or whatever influences.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they came up with all these terms that just didn't exist for food even. So it's not just like technology, but even like modern amenities that they didn't have access to, like sugar.
Hmm.
That didn't exist.
Right.
Which people like that blows your mind. But like, yeah, sugar is a
Yeah.
recent invention. Like
Hmm.
global access to sugar is modern. Um,
I mean, we
so
fought
you
wars
don't have a
over it.
word for it. We did fight wars over it for good reason. Now we have it literally so ubiquitous that's like insanely cheap. But
uh,
salt is not a modern invention. They have a Hebrew word for salt.
right.
Sugar is a modern invention. They have a loan word for sugar.
Hmm.
Uh, so all the modern inventions, whether it's food or not, and I think salad is also just salad,
Yeah,
which
salat.
is
Yeah,
pretty funny. Yeah. So you have a lot of the modern things that are just loan words, mostly from English,
which
but
is
also from
not
like
proof
Spanish,
that
Latin, whatever.
Hebrew is a made-up
Um,
language with
correct.
pretend to give fake
Correct.
longevity to a people group.
Correct. Yes. There's about 4,000 words in biblical Hebrew. I think there's around 12,000 in modern Hebrew, and almost all of those are just nouns,
Yeah.
which is really funny. But they also did invent some newer words for like man and whatnot. So I
Yeah,
think
or
it's like gavir versus ish.
gever, although that still is in the Bible, but the more typical
It's
biblical Hebrew word for man is ish or
ish.
adam.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, now in modern Hebrew, gever is the typically used word.
The go-to. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you still have like isha. Isha is just universal. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Very confusing learning biblical Hebrew and modern Hebrew at the same time. I would not recommend it. It's
Yeah, get a solid base in one or the other and then take
right,
it
and then
on.
go
But to do
back.
both,
Yeah.
it is a bit
It's very
confusing.
confusing. Yes, that's what I'm doing, and it's not a great idea.
But I think
Anyway,
there are a lot more verb forms in biblical Hebrew than there are in modern Hebrew. I think modern Hebrew is more simplified when it comes to conjugating tenses and things. But I
yes,
might be wrong on that.
I've noticed that. I've noticed it from my reading,
Okay.
both like text messages with people and just going through modern Hebrew curriculum. The
Hmm.
sentence structure is very simplified compared to what I've stumbled upon in the Torah, going through it. And
Hmm.
like, oh, that I don't know what that word is. That's interesting. I know the root, but I have no idea what the other nonsense is.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I've had some of those experiences. Dude, it is the Bible is amazing. Speaking of sugar, it's amazing how much info is packed in the phrase land flowing with milk and honey. If there's lots of milk, then there's not lots of predators, and bees are good for vegetation. Yes, so it is flowing with produce, both fruits and vegetables. It is flowing with cattle or goats,
Hmm.
and it is cultivated. So this is cultivated land that is safe and secure, and it has the nutritional value you need in order to keep living and to enjoy your food, because milk was required for cheese and honey is required for everything delicious back then. Almost every
Hmm.
single dessert you had was some form of just honey plus item.
Right.
So it was very simple desserts. Is I have a thing, I throw honey, I eat the thing. That's a dessert.
Yeah.
So they would have honey nuts, they would have honey fruit, they would have honey dates. You you would also throw fruit on things, and then all of a sudden it's a dessert. So fruit and honey were the
Which is
desserts you
funny
had,
because
and
yeah, I was gonna say
yeah,
reading this as a kid, and I was like, milk and honey. It's like it'd be better if it was like soda and chocolate. And this thing, you're like milk and honey, like okay, not too
that's a different
bad,
version
but
of it. Yeah, that's pretty good.
but it's kind of
Yeah,
that. I mean, it kind of is the same idea.
yeah, yeah. It's dude, the Bible is so amazing, and you get that also. I don't want to. Okay, no more tangents.
Okay, yeah.
It's gonna be, I made a
We've not
video
been
on
good this time,
Isaiah.
Chris.
Isaiah is pretty awesome. You should check it out. Anyway, yes, he's going to, but my covenant I will establish with Isaac from Sarah will bear to you at the season next year. So he finished talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. So again, he was with him physically. Then Abraham took Ishmael, his son, and all. Sorry, I got rained on in one of the winter storms that happened last week. My cough has not gone away since. And then Abraham took Ishmael, his son, and all who were born in his house, and all who were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's household, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the same very day, as God had spoken with him. So he did not wait. He did not wait until he felt like it. He didn't wait until his time was right. He didn't wait. He didn't care what condition you were in. Every single dude got circumcised. Um, ow. Now, Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, and Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. In the very same day, Abraham was circumcised, Ishmael, his son. And now all the men of his household who were born in the house or bought with money from a foreigner were circumcised with him. Now, I can't imagine the type of pain that was. I've been, kicked, beaten, worried that my penis was broken multiple times. Uh, I've been abused throughout my life, but I cannot imagine the healing of that, especially if you were to, for whatever reason, get a boner and it rips. Ow. Ow.
One thing I did in my research before I underwent the procedure,
Mhm.
there is this, and it seemed at the time. Now I haven't done any research on it since because I've had my experience and I'm good to go. But when I was researching it, there was a lot of talk about biblical circumcision is a lot. It removes a lot less than modern day circumcision.
Yes, there's
And
a
there's even a thing
difference there.
called a man, I actually I wish I remember this, but it's been a long time. It's a do they call it? It's something a David or a it's a certain thing they
Oh
use.
yeah,
So they only end up removing the
like the
excess
flint knife,
skin
whatever.
on the end. They don't do like what happened to me and what happens in typical medical circumcisions where they remove the entire foreskin. It's just
Mm,
what's left at the end. And so I think that would be a lot less of a thing than what's typical in medical circumcision today.
right. Are you
Uh,
talking about the Hereb or the Zor?
it looks like a Star Wars spaceship, kind of. It has like two sides and there's a
Yeah.
little slit in the middle. And so the idea is, the main part of the members here
You
and
like pull it out
slides
and
over the
then
top to protect it,
yeah,
and then
right.
what's left is removed. Whereas today they have this thing that goes down in there, and then I mean, it's bad, and it was like uh, multiples of 10 amount of stitches, which was
Yes. Now, imagine what you went through,
mhm,
but a couple changes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One, you don't have an experienced doctor doing it. You have
Mm-hmm.
someone who's never done it before,
Yeah.
either to yourself or having someone else in your household do it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you have that experience. Two, there's no stitches.
Right.
It's growing back naturally. And if you were
Mm-hmm.
to get morning wood for whatever reason, woof, that's gonna rip.
Mm-hmm.
Three, no pain medicine.
Right. Now that is one thing that I actually when it happened to me, I woke up. They put me under, and I woke up, and I was like, I felt fine. I was ready to go, and I was in like an outpatient bed, and so I was like, I looked at the nurse, and I was like, okay, everything's good. She's like, yeah, and she goes, no, she comes and she goes, here's some pain medication, and I said, oh, nothing's hurting, and I'm fine, and I don't need any of that, and I don't think I'd ever besides when I got my wisdom teeth removed, I never had pain medication, and that was I don't do well with pain medication, I didn't like it. So I said, "No, that's okay, I'm good," and she goes, "Trust me, you're gonna want the pain medication." And so I was like, "I really don't think I do, and I don't really I mean, I think I'm okay, I'm good." And she goes, I don't feel comfortable letting you leave till you take at least one. So I was like, okay, I'll take the one because I wanted to get out of there. And then I had to go. I was like, can I pee? And she's like, oh yeah, you can pee. Everything's fine. And it was all bandaged. So I went to pee, and it looked like it was just bandaged. So I thought, okay, everything's fine. I peed fine. Everything was good. Then she goes, when you get home, I think it was just like the next day. You need to remove the bandages. And it's like, "Oh, really? Like, that soon?" And she goes, "Yeah, it won't heal properly if you don't remove the bandages." So, it's like, "Okay." So I remember going home and I remember feeling fine, and I never actually took any more of the pain medication because it really didn't hurt somehow. I don't know if that was God being nice to me or if I got lucky that way, but I do remember when I took the bandages off, and it looked fine in the bandages. But it did not look fine. When I thought, "I'm dying. This is bad." So
Uh,
so yeah, but I do think if what my research told me at the time when I was researching this, biblical circumcision is a lot less. It removes a lot less than modern day circumcision. So barring that they didn't have pain medication, although I would think they would have probably known certain, like, maybe anesthetic plants or things, like
right, yeah.
topical things.
Yeah.
But we do know, like, when it comes to the, the assault on Dinah with the brothers of Israel,
Mm,
when they have the men get circumcised, they do mention, I think, that it was on the third day when the pain is at its worst. So it still was a fairly
very bad. Yes.
unpleasant experience physically.
Yes. Not
So
something you
yeah, I
really want
think
to go through. Yeah.
mhm,
It was circumcision good for a long ride.
I don't I don't think I know what that is. Do I
Well,
not
I
know,
guess
or do I even want to know?
feel free not to answer if you don't want to right now.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't understand the question. I
but
think that's probably for the best.
were you a virgin before your circumcision? Or after your
Uh,
circumcision? Like,
no, I was already married by then.
okay. So I guess the question is sex better circumcised or uncircumcised, or was
I
there no
have
difference?
seen, because also when I was doing my research on this, there was a whole movement of people that are saying that it's evil and it robs you of
Oh yeah,
sensitivity and it
yeah,
ruins
people
it.
say that.
There's nothing to that at all. It does. I mean, and again, this is could be arguably anecdotal because it's one person's experience, but uh, even for the typical modern day Western circumcision that I underwent, it's did not affect me in any way when it comes to anything like that. It was
Yeah.
so.
I mean, you
I
had
think
three
in
kids since
those
then, so
weird forums, you get people that were already circumcised and think that they were robbed of something, which I
right.
understand. Uh, but from my own personal experiential knowledge, it didn't change any of the function or anything. It's everything's fine. So,
Yeah. I am so thankful I got snipped as well as baby. Um,
hmm
I snipped my baby. I snipped my boy as baby. Um, very, very happy for it. I
hmm
Foreskins are kind of gross, man. Anyway, we can move on. We can move on. Genesis 18. So then Yahweh appeared to him by the oaks of Mamre, while he was sitting at the tent door in the heat of the
Ooh,
day.
now we get to some super fun stuff.
Yes, Genesis 18:19 are two of my favorite chapters. So Yahweh again appears to him. This is the fourth or sixth time or so that he's appeared to him physically that is in the text. He may have appeared to him more than that, but at least all of those times he appeared to him and established the covenant with him.
Hmm
So he knows what Yahweh looks like. Then
hmm
he lifted up his eyes, and behold, three men were standing nearby. He saw and ran from the tent door to meet them, and he bowed himself to the earth. So he is obviously recognizing them, at least their importance. So Yahweh appears to him. He sees three men, and then he runs and then bows his face to the ground. And he said, "My Lord, if now I have found favor in your sight, please do not pass your servant by. Please," and again, it is your servant, not plural. These are singular servants. Um,
And also, another little interesting tidbit from the Hebrew. In Hebrew, if you were to say "my Lord," uh,
mm,
it would be Adoni.
mm-hmm. Instead of Adоnim,
So in this one, he says Adonai, which is technically
capital L.
plural.
Yeah.
Uh, so he's speaking that way to the three of them, and again we have the
Yeah.
three of them, three people. Just very interesting.
Yeah. But it is being used as a singular,
Hmm.
which is also interesting. So it is singular sight.
Yeah, so he's talking. He says, "My Lord, Adonai." If I think a lot of people are pretty familiar with it these days,
Right.
but that's a term Jewish people use to refer in prayer to God, and
Mm-hmm.
it's strangely plural because it should be Adoni, which would be singular, my Lord, but Adonai is plural, and they use that to refer to God. And in this instance, Abraham is saying Adonai uh, when these three men are approaching him. So, because I think a lot of people think that maybe Abraham was just being hospitable to guests, like he would have to anybody, like he didn't know maybe right away. But I
Right.
think with that word being used there, uh, seems like he kind of knew.
Yeah. He recognized them, immediately got
Hmm
up and ran, and then threw his face on the ground.
Right.
Um, and then calls him Adonai, which is
hmm
pretty based right there. Um, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So it's used as a singular, and then he's referring to himself as the singular of them. So the language itself kind of denotes that he's talking to one of the three, but he's addressing
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
it's like it's it's kind of interesting. So like, oh, well, Yahweh appears to him, and then he is probably addressing one of them, and then one of them is addressing him the entire time. So the other two, even though there's two with him, they're not as important as one of them is. Uh, and he said, "Please let a
hmm
little water be brought and wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree." And now it is getting more plural. This is again a plural word. It's rest, but it's new at the end. So this little
Yeah.
nun and dav, this is making it plural. So it's you all rest. Um,
Uh-huh. And
and-
Rachlechem, your guys' feet.
yes. So it is. plural for telling like what the group does, but when he's
Hmm.
speaking to them, he's addressing one of them, but he is acknowledging the other people's existence, which is pretty cool. So
Uh-huh.
this is again, he's elevating one of these people above the other. Um, and let me bring a piece of bread. That's gonna be funny in a second. That you may refresh your hearts, and after you may pass on, since in such a manner you have passed by your servant. And they said, "So you shall do, so you shall do as you have said." So Abram hurried into the tent to Sarah and said, "Hurry, prepare 3 selahs of fine flour, knead it, and make bread cakes." Now, a selah is a lot. It's like um 7 quarts or like almost 8 liters of flour. So imagine this, like he gets in, he's like, "Hey, make 24 liters of flour." Um or like 21 quarts. This is nearly 6 gallons, or it's a little over 5 gallons of flour. So imagine a 5 gallon bucket of flour, and you're using that to make bread. That's a lot. This would make a ton of bread. This would make like, I don't know, 12, 15, 20 loaves of bread. And it's like a fine flour. And it's not, you don't just have the flour at hand, you have to grind it. So this is
Hmm.
like a full on production, like in like industrial, excuse me, industrial revolution style bread factory that's currently happening in their house with her and all of the servants. So he hurries in, and he doesn't just make food, and she says, "Hey, I'll make a piece of bread," literally one bread, and then he goes in and he makes this like massive production thing. But I also love how he says, uh, "I will make you the bread," and then it's he go tells his wife, "Hey, go make all this bread." I just love the husband wife dynamic there, where the husband
Yeah.
under promises, over delivers, but also says that he's gonna do it, then makes the wife do it. I
And
love that
also
interaction
of
so much.
note here, uh, for all if there's any Jews watching, Abraham serves God meat
Bread
and
and
dairy at the
wine.
same time.
Oh yes, yes indeed.
Now they have their funny arguments for, well, God waited 18 minutes in
Yeah,
between eating
I
the one or
know.
the other.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say
Mhm.
that. It just says he was served it. He was served both of those things. So that's
And
that's something to.
scientifically, we know now that you digest food significantly slower than 18 minutes.
Mm,
So your food will stay in your belly for hours.
right.
You're not waiting that long between eating meat and dairy, so you're still mixing inside your stomach. Anyway,
Hmm.
yeah, very dumb. Rabbinic Judaism is not not lining up with the Bible very well. Anyway, yeah, there's so many things you can point out in this section. But
Hmm.
I again, this is one of my favorite interactions between any people in the Bible. It's husband
Yeah,
promising something to God and then getting the wife to do it. And he doesn't
I've
just
done
do
it a
it.
million times.
I know, and he just overdoes it so much. You could just say Asaya. Asaya, even one of these would be enough bread for everyone. And he says make 3 of them. So it's one per guest. But you can't eat one of these by yourself. You're not going to eat 7 liters of bread by yourself. You're not going to do that. So, like, I have 2 gallons of flour that I'm going to be consuming myself. No, thank you.
Well, and
Anyway,
this is a meal too. We got
yeah,
bread. We
yeah.
have
Then
we
he
have a
also,
young calf,
yes,
and
Abraham
we
also
have
ran to the herd and took a tender and choice calf and gave it to his young man, and he hurried
mm,
to prepare it. Then he took curds and milk and the calf which he had prepared and placed it before them, and he was standing by them under the tree, and they ate. So we have milk curds,
this is a
which would
real
be
feast.
this would be expensive too. So you have to think about what is a curd. A curd is solidified cream. This
Mm.
is the literally the cream of the crop. So this is the best of what his animal was producing. And we have the choice calf. And young animals taste better,
Mm.
and they also are the most expensive to eat
You
because
taught
they
you
don't
taught
produce
me
any
about
work for
this
you.
on the one of the last streams, Chris, where you talked about like
Yeah,
most of the meat we get in the
animals you
store
get is
is
very young. Yeah,
mm,
under 3 years old typically. Yeah, so you're eating babies if you're eating meat. Which
not in the Epstein sense.
not in the Epstein sense, not literal, human babies, but we're eating cow babies, we're eating lamb babies, we're eating chicken babies, because they taste better. So because they taste better, we feed them a whole bunch of food very young to make them grow fast, and then we slaughter them. So that produces the most amount of meat that also tastes good. So this is a lamb that is choice. It is tender. So it is a little fatty, and it has not worked much, has not grazed much, hasn't walked. Because the more an animal walks, the more tough it gets. So really old, you don't have to feel bad. It's okay. The reason why it tastes bad is because every time you move a joint, um, that section of the meat gets more tough. You're building up more snooze, you're building up more silver skin connections, like the fibrous connections that you can't eat. You actually have to cut that out of the animal whenever you butcher. I worked in a restaurant for a while. I did the butchering of the animals um, to prepare all the meat for all the cuts and everything else. You have to remove a lot of that silver skin and everything else within those cuts, and you have to tenderize the meat a bunch. Now we electrically shock our meat as well. So not only
Mm.
do we butcher it young, we also salt it, and we also electrically shock our animals whenever we kill it, so that the meat, all the fibers in the meat line up and they tense. So whenever you're cooking it, it actually releases and it tenderizes, which is really cool. And the reason we found out about that was Benjamin Franklin. He was experimenting with electricity, and he started shocking turkeys. He said that turkeys that were shocked to death were unusually tender.
He was a very interesting fellow.
Very interesting dude.
Have you
Probably had
ever
some
read when he
STDs.
tried to keep the Ten Commandments and he kept a journal on how often he broke them?
No, that I can imagine. Yeah, yeah. So again,
S-
this is important. This comment here. Nomadic herders never kill baby animals. How can they replenish the herd? That's the point.
Right.
You wouldn't. You would only do it if you were feasting. You would kill the young because it was expensive. Old animals aren't expensive because they've already lived their life. They've already done all the work that they can do. A young
Mm.
animal, especially a young bull, like a young male animal, those are the most expensive to eat because they could sire a bunch of children, they can protect the herd, and they can
And
do
do
work
work.
if you have it
Right.
like an oxen. Um, those
So it's
animals
also
you
like
would not eat.
an honor thing too.
Yes, yes. I honor you enough that I'm willing to sacrifice this
My
massive
well-being,
financial
my future
burden.
well-being. Right.
Yeah, this is an expensive operation here. This would be like
Mm.
tens of thousands of dollars of a meal that he's
Yeah.
presenting before God. So you think like, oh, what's the most expensive? Like, oh, $500 pizza versus $5 pizza. No, it's like tens of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
that he is essentially letting go to feed God that he's not even participating in. He says he is standing by it while they ate.
Right, right. The
That is
ultimate honor.
amazing. This is such a wonderful testimony to his heart, to
Mm.
his love, his respect for God. This is amazing. And people just entirely ignore it. Like every element of this is, so he took the fine flour, he took the choice calf, he took curds.
Mm.
These are all very expensive items. Curds would be
This
the
is
least
what you
expensive
would
of those three.
serve a king.
This is a kingly meal. Um, and they ate. So he's also presenting them all these things, and like there's a lot of sacrifice language and everything else that's in this, which we see. So we saw that with the Melchizedek. We'll go over that next week. We saw this with uh every single place where there's bread, like fine bread prepared quickly, so it's
Mm.
unleavened. This is unleavened choice bread for the king with a calf and the curds and milk. I don't think it explicitly identifies wine, but I would also assume that there's wine that was happening there. So you do have some
Yeah, it doesn't say,
typology
but
from this
that's
section. It's likely because they didn't have fresh water. So wine would be
Mm.
like one of the go-tos to consume food with. Uh,
I will
but
be
yeah,
right back, Chris.
okay. He's gonna
Continue on
plot.
with without me interrupting.
It's fine. Uh, so we have this beautiful, wondrous example of serving God, and it's so cool. And he's preparing this wonderful banquet, this expensive banquet, and he's not even partaking of it. And even though that there's abundance, he made more than enough food, and yet he's still allowing them to partake of it without him or his family interacting with the food. So this is like the highest honor he could possibly bestow upon a traveler, and he did it for God. That's his love, that's his heart for God. So why was Abraham chosen? Things like this. Every single time we see Abraham, like even in Genesis 15 with the birds, and he's like fighting off the birds to protect the sacrifices for the covenant. Um, and even whenever he's called, he's like, "Hey, I heard this voice," and he hadn't even encountered, he hadn't physically met God yet. He heard a voice. It was faithful, and then God appeared to him through that. And other than Moses, Abraham is the one who had God appear to him the most in the Bible. Other than like, Jesus, because Jesus is God and physically here, but like pre-incarnate Christ, uh, Abraham encountered him the most. Why? It's because of his heart, his love. Like this man uh loved God and trusted God and had faith in God to such an extent that it's hard for us to fully comprehend the cost of what he did for him in all of the different ways that he did. It's pretty amazing. So, uh, I live in Quebec, so I eat like a king with every poutine. Yeah, poutine pretty good. I mean, it's cheese, meat, and potato. Like you can't really mess that up. It's delicious. Anyway, so then they said to him, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" And he said, "They're in the tents." And he said, and it's again a he. There, it's a singular. It's Amar. This is not plural. It's not them speaking. It is he speaking. I will surely return to you at this time next year, and behold, Sarah your wife will have a son. And Sarah was listening at the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in age. Sarah was past childbearing. This is again very explicit. She was postmenopausal. Now she might have been good looking still, but she was for sure postmenopausal. And Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "After I am worn out, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also?" And Yahweh said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh, saying, 'Shall I indeed bear a son when I am so old? Is anything too difficult for Yahweh?'" So, where is Yahweh talking to him from? Again, this is for the Jews, for the Jehovah's Witnesses, for the Mormons. I know everyone watching right now is probably a Christian. You already know that Yahweh is pre incarnate Christ with him there. This is just Jesus. This is Jesus speaking to Abraham. And, Jesus said, "Why did Sarah laugh, saying, 'Shall I indeed bear a son when I am so old? Is anything too difficult for Yahweh? At the appointed time, I will return to you at this time next year, and Sarah will have a son.'" So Jesus is, oh man, this is one of my favorite chapters of the Bible, just because of all the interpersonal relationships that are happening. So Jesus comes back to him for like the fifth time, and he comes with two angels. The angels aren't identified, and Jesus just walks by him. Abraham comes and bows down to Jesus's feet and says, "Hey, Lord, let me prepare food for you." Jesus agrees, and then Jesus sits down. He eats the meal, and then he asks for Sarah, and then Abraham's like, "Hey, my wife isn't there," and then he said, "Okay, she's gonna have a son," and then she laughs. And he's like, "Why are you laughing?" And then Sarah denies it, however, saying, "I did not laugh, for she was afraid." And he said, "No, but you did laugh." So I love this little thing where he's still really nice to her because again, God is a girl dad. But no, I didn't laugh. What are you talking about? No, it couldn't be me. Um, nothing happened here, nothing to see here. And yet Jesus is like, "Nah, nah, fam, you did. You absolutely did laugh." And then he just leaves it at that. He doesn't persecute her. He doesn't like, "Why did you lie to me?" He's very gentle with this. He just leaves it at that. And I love that. I love that even in like we see the same gentleness with Jesus after he takes on human flesh. and he's with like the woman at the well, and she is suffering, or like the woman bleeding. He has such compassion for her, and like that is a type of like suffering that's hard to imagine as a modern thinker. But like she was unclean for years. Like the amount of mental suffering she had gone through, and probably also physical suffering, like anemia and everything else. The amount of suffering the woman with the bleeding had, and for God to take such compassion on her is such a beautiful thing. And we see that a little bit with Sarah. Like he still has compassion on her, that he's going to give her something beautiful. He's going to give her a gift of a son that she's wanted for decades. So whereas the woman who was unclean, she couldn't have a son or a daughter because she was unclean. She couldn't ritually have sex as a Jew. Here we have Sarah having intercourse, but not being able to produce a child, and God still cares for her and loves her and says, "Yeah, I'm going to choose you to be the queen." That's what Sarah means, like princess. I'm going to choose you to be the queen of my peoples. And where Abraham is the mighty father, the father of many nations, Sarah is the princess, um the queen mother to Isaac. So there's a lot of beautiful things happening with these interactions. A lot of little cute tidbits, and whenever you start like visualizing and imagining how this played out, um, I love it. I love it so much.
You
And
know,
she was
Chris, you
also
make a really good
terrified.
point because even when you were talking about the interpersonal pictures we get here and the very unique interactions we see, which I would say kind of culminates in Genesis 22 with the binding of Isaac. Um, we're given such a personal picture of God working in these people's lives and how they relate to God in a way that you don't really get in other religious texts. God is relatable and caring and likable, even, I think would be even a good word to use. The God of the Bible is a very likable God. Whereas
Yes.
usually in paganism, gods are tricky, or there's something to be
Mm-hmm.
terrified of,
Mm-hmm.
or they're malevolent.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time you ever see God as a scary thing in the Bible is when it's brought on
Judgment.
because it's deserved.
Yeah.
But but you see God acting with Abraham, especially Abraham, you get this picture of like friendship, really. They're like friends. And it's wonderful to read. It's such a wonderful picture. And then the way you tied it into Jesus with the woman at the well, or the woman with the issue of blood. The, this is a God that is. I mean, it almost seems paradoxical, but it's relatable. The biblical God is relatable. You have this sense of that he understands what you're going through, and
Yeah.
he cares for you through that. Whereas he could he could be the all-powerful separate God, like you get with Allah, where it's, I mean, one of his
Mm.
names is the
Slave the
most
master.
merciful, but
Right.
he's not merciful.
Well, it's from the rabbis.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's so neat to read here because you even in just these little few chapters we're getting through right now, God is so wonderful. And
Mm-hmm.
he's not doing much. He's mostly appearing. You know what I mean? But you get
Right.
uh this wonderful picture of who he is and how he interacts with us, and how he cares for us. And it's very unique as holy scriptures go.
Yeah. He's a girl dad, as
Yeah.
I've mentioned. Like that is a great, like he's relatable because he's a girl dad, but he's also a girl dad, and he's awesome.
it-
He's so loving. He's amazing. Like Jesus, his character didn't change from the Old Testament to the New Testament.
right,
Uh,
right. You hear that a lot,
every single
especially with
time.
the
Yeah.
anti-Torah people. Oh, the God of the Old
Right.
Testament, he's smiting and he's angry and
Yeah.
he's
No.
hateful. And
Yeah.
no, because Jesus got mad too.
Yeah.
for the same reasons that it's completely congruent. They're the same character. I mean, and it would be
Hmm.
heretical to separate them.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
unfortunately, that's a very mainstream view. Is, oh yeah, the Old Testament, you read it, and God's just angry all the time, and he's killing people and striking people and this and that. It's no, that's not. i- You're not I don't think you're reading your Bible. Well, and
for
especially
example,
people who are supposed to be reading the Bible and teaching it to you are also not. They're not presenting to you a, complete picture.
yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um, for those who do not know, Jesus killed people in the Old Testament.
Hmm.
Not just Sodom and Gomorrah. Like Jesus personally, with a sword, slayed humans in the Old Testament. That's a crazy story. He slayed the enemies of Israel. Jesus in the New Testament took the time to knit a whip with vines
Right.
and then whipped at people, if not whipped people, and got them out of the temple. And they
And it's throwing
got the animals out,
tables and.
throwing tables. Like, yeah, he's a god that comes with the sword. He's a god that comes with the sword of judgment. But he also loves us and cares for us and has these type of interpersonal relationships and encounters, and especially with the next section, like this whole section that we're about to read with God's mercy. It
Hmm.
is amazing. It is insane, and it's wonderful. And like, yeah. Anyway,
Well, and anybody who's ever had children, they will know that you can be merciful and just at the same time. You can be stern and loving at the same time. You must be in order to
mm,
be a productive and good parent. You can't go too far one way or the other. You have to. Being a parent really teaches you a lot of lessons, as Chris has some examples on his channel, and it's as a parent, I think the funny thing is you are emulating God in a very natural way, but at the same time you learn about God because you realize how difficult it is to be a parent, and then you think, now imagine if I was a parent to billions of people.
that all hate each other. Yeah,
Right, and also hate you.
yeah, right. Yeah, it is pretty crazy. I mean, like the more you think about it, the more amazing God becomes.
Yeah, every time.
Um, which is not the case for other pagan systems or gods.
Right.
Uh, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I have a Muslim in the chat. If God is
Oh
all
yeah, we
powerful, not
should.
dependent on creation, why does he appear in human form and eat like a human? He
It's-
chose to.
yeah, because he's all powerful and he can, and he
Yeah,
wants to show us. He wants to
yeah,
interact with us. He doesn't just
right.
sit in his throne room and have us grovel at his feet because he's so wonderful. He actually cares
Yeah.
about us, and he wants to make that known, and he does a very
Hmm.
good job at it.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, God can, so he chooses to. He's not
Hmm.
dependent on it. He doesn't require sustenance. He chose to. If we do not have to eat in heaven, if our bodies are sustained naturally, like through photosynthesis or some crazy nonsense, um, but eating is an option, I'm going to eat food, even if that means I still have to poop and pee. I don't care. I'm going to eat
Well,
food
here we have God
because
says he
food
will
is
go down and
wonderful.
see whether doesn't Allah come down to the lowest heaven
Yep,
to hear the prayers at night? So I mean, is this
yep,
someone who's ignorant of their own scriptures?
yep.
Because they're arguing
And
against
then,
Allah at this point.
yeah, you are arguing against Allah. Allah also has to read his books to know what's happening.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, no. Anyway, so again, that's just problem of evil. If
Hmm.
Elohim are just good, why is there so much wickedness? Because of human sin, we choose to make the evil We choose wickedness. It's not God. God is not controlling free will beings. That's an oxymoron. That is a contradiction. You cannot uh you cannot fully control free will beings because otherwise they don't have free will. So God allows us to have free will, and then from that free will we are choosing evil. So why is there wickedness? Because humanity exists and we have free will. If we
Hmm.
didn't have free will, there would be no wickedness. So anyway, continuing on. This is one of my favorite little interchanges between, and it's also part of the typology, which we'll go over next week. Um, and I'll mention one of the typologies here. Um, so Sarah is worn out and past the age of childbearing, so she doesn't have an egg. Mary was younger and she had her eggs, but she didn't have the sperm. So Isaac was a miraculous birth where God miraculously provided the egg in order for Isaac to be born. Jesus is a miraculous birth where God miraculously provided the sperm in order for Jesus to be born. So you see some of the typology there where Isaac is one of the deepest types of Christ in the Bible, which we'll go over with Genesis 22. But
Hmm.
even just
Oh yeah.
that, where we have the type of birth itself is miraculous in uh, complementary but opposite ways. Either way, they were lacking one of the gametes, one of the sex cells. So anyway, anyway, I was looking at the chat.
Yeah. It's getting interesting in there.
I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna ignore it. Then
Yeah.
the men rose up from there and looked down towards Sodom, and Abraham was walking with them to send them off. So again, this is the men, and now Yahweh is with them. So again, this is obviously God with them physically on the planet. It's not three angels. It is one Yahweh and two angels, which we get in the beginning of Genesis 19. It says, then the two angels came to Sodom. So
Hmm.
these are identified. It's Yahweh and two angels coming to eat with Abraham. Then now Yahweh said, shall I conceal from Abraham what I'm about to do? Since Abraham will surely become a great and mighty nation, and in him all the nations of the earth will be blessed. For I have known him so that he may command his children and his household after him, that they keep the way of Yahweh to do righteousness and justice, so that Yahweh may bring upon Abraham what he has spoken about him. So Yahweh said, the outcry of Sodom and Gomorrah is indeed great, and their sin is exceedingly grave. I will go down now and see whether they have done entirely according to its outcry, which has come to me, and if not, I will know. Then the men turned away from there and went towards Sodom, while Abraham was still standing before Yahweh. Now, I'm curious what you think. Who is Yahweh speaking to in this passage? Because I've heard some different reports. I want to get your opinion on who
Oh,
is Yahweh
interesting.
speaking to?
I never really thought about that, but I could see how it could be not just to Abraham.
Okay. There's like three options, I think. So I'm curious which of the
Okay.
three you'd pick.
Hmm. Interesting, Chris. Well, actually, but before because I've never really thought about it. What's your take, or do you have a preferred take, or are you up in the air on?
I was of a preferred take for a long time, and then I encountered the two other takes. And I was like, "Huh, that's interesting."
Okay.
I still lean towards my preferred take just because I like it,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but that doesn't make it true. So there are, I guess, I'll give the possibilities, and I'll let you pick which one you want before I explain them. He's talking to Abraham, he's talking
Mm-hmm.
to himself, or he's talking to the angels.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I could go. Could he possibly be doing all three at once?
He could be. I guess, yeah, maybe be a fourth option.
Yeah, maybe there's a fourth
Uh,
option.
yeah. But who is he asking here? So the first question is significantly more interesting than the last question. Shall I conceal from Abraham what I'm about to do,
Right.
since Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and in him all the nations of the earth will be blessed? I'm gonna actually
I took
remove
that
my
as him
highlighting here.
talking to himself at that point.
Okay.
That's how I read it.
So that verse you
For
read
our
talking to
benefit,
himself.
obviously,
Right. Yes. He's thinking aloud to the viewer or to the reader,
right, right,
but not necessarily to the people that are present there.
right. That's
But
how
it
I
does
took it.
say
Is
Omer, it does say that he's speaking here
that
more
is true? The verb is
to speak.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he said.
So now,
So
and Yahweh said, yeah,
yeah. So he did say it.
right. Like Jesus praying to the Father for our benefit, which he
Yeah,
does.
right, right. That's
Yeah.
that's that's how I took it.
That is historically how I've understood it. Then
Okay.
I had someone bring up, it was actually my mod. I don't know if he's still here or not. He might have gone to sleep. He brought up, well, he's speaking aloud, and then after this point, the angels leave.
Mm-hmm.
So is he speaking to himself? Is this to himself? And then this is to the angels and Abraham. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's actually how historically I've had it. I've had that like 17 through 19 is to himself, and then 20 through 22 is towards, or I guess 20 through 21 is towards the angels and Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so with the view that it is him speaking to himself, this becomes very Trinitarian, very hard Trinitarian.
Mm-hmm.
Shall I conceal from Abraham what I am about to do? So who is God asking here? Is he, if he's asking the angels, why? Why is their
Uh-huh.
opinion important in this situation? Since
Right.
Abraham will surely become a great and mighty nation, and in him all the nations of the earth will be blessed. This is a question to someone who who is who could answer this question for God, who could give God counsel. We get in the Psalms
Mm-hmm.
that he is the counselor of himself, like,
Right.
which again, like the divine counsel theory, I don't technically lean towards that, but who, so on. Anyway, for I have known him. So this is God knowing him, which is interesting. We have three times here where it's I, and then we have three times where it's Yahweh, Yahweh, He.
Mm-hmm.
So it is three times where it is me speaking Yahweh, and it's three times where Yahweh is speaking of Yahweh in the third person. Kind of interesting. So we have God
Mm-hmm.
both mixing and matching whether he's talking third person or first person about himself.
Yeah, when he
That's
says
kind of weird.
the house, him and his household, they keep the way of Yahweh.
Hmm. Yes. To do righteousness and justice so that Yahweh may bring upon Abraham what he has spoken about him.
Mm-hmm.
This is Yahweh trying to bless him with righteousness and justice so that Yahweh can bless Abraham with the promise that Yahweh gave.
Mm-hmm.
But is Yahweh speaking? For
Yeah.
I have known him so that he may command his children and his household after him. For I have known him. Again, this is the same type of word we were talking about last time with to know someone in the biblical Hebrew is to experience them.
Right.
So he's
Intimately.
saying, yeah, he has made himself known to Abraham so that Abraham can experience him. Why? So that Abraham can command his children and his household after him that they will keep the way of Yahweh to do righteousness and justice. So he appeared to Abraham over and over and over again and made these covenants over and over and over again so that he would have the faith necessary to be a good leader and a good father and a good keeper of the covenant and the blessings so that his descendants also will do it from time onward.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. It is written in third person because it's retelling the story of the past. No, nope. It is active dialogue. It is him
Right.
speaking at that moment in time. For I have known him. The sentence doesn't end. This is one sentence. It is Yahweh speaking, and it's Yahweh speaking of Yahweh in the third person. This happens a lot in the Bible, which gets into the Trinity. One person of the Trinity is speaking about another person of the Trinity. This happens a lot. We see this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my view, this
Especially in
is
Genesis.
especially in Genesis. Yes, you get a ton in Genesis, a ton in all of the typology, but just they're like God appears in multi-personal forms in Genesis and Exodus dozens of times.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of embarrassing how many times he comes in this multi-personal form in the Torah. Especially when you account for the Hebrew grammar of plurals
Right.
uh, and plural verbs of God, like Genesis 11, Genesis 2, or Genesis 1, Genesis 1, Genesis 11. I think 26 also has one. Like, there's a variety of places where it's plural language being applied that the best explanation would be something like the Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I mean, if you're honest, the only plausible explanation, really.
right. So we have this where it's possibly God speaking to himself. The other possibility I think would be him speaking to the angels. Um, but why would he say this out loud in front of Abraham? That doesn't make sense to me personally. So I still
Y-
favor the he is speaking to himself view. Um, Especially with the thing that happens after this. I don't think it makes sense for him to verbalize this sentence
Okay.
at all. Like 17 through 19. I don't think it makes sense for Yahweh to verbalize this to Abraham, especially whenever he's about to have him intercede for Sodom and
Well, that's a
Gomorrah.
good point. That's a good point because he then does have the conversation with him.
Right. So that wouldn't be like, oh well, you just told me I was going to, so do I even have an option? Or like,
Right.
yeah. Um anyway. So Yahweh said the outcry of Sodom and Gomorrah is exceedingly great, and they're seeing then so I'll go down, and if they've done it, then I'll know. So then the men turn away while Abraham was still standing before Yahweh. And so again, like he's just there. Yahweh
Yeah.
is present. Then Abraham came near. And again, this is like why Islam is not an Abrahamic faith. They
Mm,
deny the actual encounters and experiences Abraham had with Yahweh, then they believe the man-made myths about it, with like the smashing of the idols and the conversion of the stars, the fiery furnace, like all that stuff is man-made. It's rabbinic made.
but also,
And yeah,
contradictory where it doesn't, isn't it said that Allah is in the fire in the burning bush?
yeah,
And that would be
in Surah 20.
impossible, according to
Yeah.
Islamic theology, that Allah is in the creation.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, you
s-
also have Hadith where he comes down into the lowest heaven every night to hear the prayers because he couldn't
right.
hear them from heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Islam is just kind of dumb. Anyway, then the men turned away from there and went towards Sodom while Abraham was still standing before Yahweh. Then Abraham came near and said, will you indeed swap away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city, and will you indeed sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to put to death the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous and the wicked are treated alike. Far be it from you, shall not the judge of all the earth do justice? Wow, the cojones on this man. So we're talking about like the faith aspect of it and all of the stuff that we've gone through from this, but like, wow, the cojones. Like you have Jesus here in front of you in his full glory. Like Sarah was so scared of him earlier that she even like lied to his face out of fear. Um, and because she was afraid. And yet we have Abraham just had all this crazy experience with him. And then he goes through it and says, far be it from you. He's appealing to God's character. And this exact same thing happens with Moses whenever the people are sinning by doing the festival of drunkenness before Hathor, the golden calf. Like, he's still appealing, like, hey, far be it from you, God, that your name be slandered among the Egyptians, that you would bring your people out here just to slaughter them all.
I was
So
gonna
we have
say
this,
it at first it sounds like bravery, but at the same
yeah,
time he is appealing to what he knows to be true about God. And then you see every time he asks again, he's very polite. He speaks as
yes,
though he's I mean, I always love that. I love how he prefaces everything with now I've asked you before and so I don't want to make you angry, but what about this? He's wonderfully polite when he's engaging. And
yeah, I love,
again, more of the character of Abraham, the uniqueness of Abraham that we get in this story, which is so fun. It's so
yeah.
fun to read.
It's so cool, man. We see parallels of it a little bit with Moses, but again, like, why is Moses and Abraham so unique to the faith? And it's
Hmm.
because of those moments that are
Right,
just
the
amazing.
humility.
Yeah, the humility and also the boldness to
Right,
speak
right,
this
right.
word before God. Um,
Hmm.
amazing,
It does
amazing.
show you that they had a comfortability in their relationship. Like
Yes,
Moses and Abraham obviously acknowledged God and were fearfully
reverent.
respectful of him,
Yeah,
but they
yeah,
also knew I can talk with you, and
yeah.
and I'm going to be polite, but I'm also going to talk with you, and it's just
Yes,
wonderful to
to
read.
wrestle with him.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's almost as if Israel is on purpose.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
um, yeah, it is. It is so amazing. And then he even has more cojones to go deeper. So Yahweh
Hmm.
said, "If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare the whole place on their account." Now, mind you, Sodom and Gomorrah, the cities of the plain, likely had anywhere from 100,000 to 1,000,000 people. These are a
Yeah.
lot of people, a ton of people. 50 is the baseline. 50 righteous. And Abraham answered and said, "Now behold, I have ventured to speak to the Lord, although I am but dust and ashes." So he
There we
has the
go.
humility. Like, he knows,
Yeah.
like, like, I am nothing before you, God, but
But
I but uh so you could say, oh well, he's just appealing because of law. He doesn't want his nephew to die. That could be valid. But also Abraham has the heart where he wants those who are wicked to not be treated the same as the righteous. So
mm,
he has a heart after David, like essentially like the heart after God, like David, where he cares for God's righteous people, people who love the Lord and serve Him. Um, so he has this aspect of like mercy for them, and this again gets into the typology, which we'll go over
hmm.
next week. But suppose the 50 righteous are lacking five. Will you destroy the whole city because of five? He said, I will not destroy it if I find 45 there. Will you destroy the whole city because of the lack of five people? Is like this one of the? I think this is the smallest unit he goes to, because I think the lowest he goes is 10. Um, so the five here is actually technically the lowest unit he goes. Of, hey, would you agreed to 50? If I had
Hmm.
removed this, has been like kind of a Jewish like haggling
Yeah.
for price. But if
The
I
first
just
Jewish
shaved off
lawyer.
five there, the first Jewish lawyer is able after he's circumcised too. So he's
Yeah.
circumcision. Yes, the first Jewish lawyer is Abraham shaking down Yahweh. Anyway, so you have, for the count of five, will you destroy the city? So this is again, it wasn't on the count of one, but on the count of five, would you destroy
Mm,
the city? And he said, no, I would not for 45. He spoke to him yet again, said, suppose 40 are found there. He says, I will not do an account of the 40. And he said, oh, may the Lord not be angry, and shall I speak? Or I shall speak. Suppose 30 are found there. And he said, I will not do it if there are 30 there. He said, now behold, I have ventured to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 are there. He said, I will not destroy it on the count of 20. And he said, oh, may the Lord not be angry, and shall I speak only this once? Suppose 10 are found there. And he said, I will not destroy it on account of the 10. And as soon as he had finished speaking to Abraham, Yahweh departed and Abraham returned to his place. Why did he not go to 1?
Yeah, interesting.
I think he was terrified. I think he
Mm-hmm.
knew that God wanted to destroy the place because he again, I think he did verbalize 20 and 19. So he says, I will go down and the outcry has come against me. And I will know, their sin is grave. Their sin is
Uh-huh.
great. Their sin is wicked. So he's
Isn't
going
it
down there to judge them. And he knows that.
is the language that it's like the stench has come up to me, basically, of their sin?
Yeah. Yeah. Which is interesting for like the sacrifice language of this, a pleasing aroma goes up. So
Right.
you have stench going up and it's wicked evil. You have pleasing aroma going up and it's beautiful and wonderful. Yeah. So
Yeah,
we
that's a
have,
good point with Abraham being terrified because I think it was I mean, you get down to one and then
yeah.
God says if there's just one, uh so that's very and with Abraham living around the area,
Mhm.
it's I would imagine he's heard tales of the city.
Yeah. And maybe his nephew lives there. He's lived there for
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
decades at this point. So like he should be pretty familiar with it. He's also like fought a battle there. Like he's
Mm,
been there.
right.
Um, yeah. So very interesting account here. And he's terrified. He's like, he keeps like couching his things like, I shall only speak one more time.
Yeah, right.
What if only 10 are there? Will you do
Uh,
it? And he said, no, I will spare the million wicked people for the account of 10.
mm,
10 were not found. Only 1. And even the 1 still sinned.
mm,
1 righteous person among them all. 1 righteous person. So they were destroyed. But even that 1 righteous person, notice what did God do for that 1 righteous person? He removed him.
mm,
He saved his life. He spared him. And he would have spared his family, even though they likely were not righteous. He
mm.
They didn't listen and they were destroyed along with the rest of them. But the daughter survived and then raped him.
Yeah.
Um, but which we'll talk about in a little bit after I go pee. Um, this is pretty amazing. God did not punish the wicked and the righteous in the same way here. He actually removed the righteous in order to punish them, which hopefully is a sign for like the tribulation.
Yeah.
But we get the same thing happening in Josiah's lineage. Hezekiah was prophesied that Israel was going to be destroyed. He knew it was going to be destroyed. He asked, "Hey, is this going to happen in my lifetime or is it going to happen after me?" And he's like, "Oh, it's going to
Mm.
happen to your descendants." It's like, "Oh, cool, not me. Great." Then he goes on
Right.
parties. So he's like, "I'm not going to be like butchered. It's fine. I can keep going."
Yeah.
And then he keeps in his sin. So you have like the king being warned. He's like, "Hey, is it going to happen to me or my kids? Your kids,
Uh,
cool. I'm going to keep
yeah.
being evil." Yeah. Then his grandson Josiah becomes king at 8,
Mm,
finds the law when he's like 12, reads it for the first time in generations because they had lost the law entirely at that point. They were living like the pagans,
mm,
human sacrifice, temple prostitution, all of it. Um, and he reads the law, he tears his clothes, he gathers all of the priests that are guiding them to do human sacrifice and ritual prostitution, all that stuff. He kills them all, he tears down all the poles, and he establishes right relationship. And that was, I think, the only time in Israel's kingdomness, not in Israel's nationness, but in Israel's kingdomness, they actually observed the Sabbath the way that they were supposed to. It's like one of the few times that they were actually following the law, and they did it for like 20 years.
yeah.
and then they immediately went back. But Josiah delayed judgments for his generation by 4 generations, or I guess 3, because the last 2 were killed together in the exile. So at least 2
Mm.
generations were spared the exile because of the faithfulness of one king. So we talk about like God's mercy, God's patience, God's love. For one dude, he was willing to spare judgment on Israel for 2 generations. For 10
Mm.
people, he would have been willing to spare Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, yeah. Which
They
shows
didn't have
you
to do it.
at the same time how merciful God is and compassionate, and also how wicked humanity is.
Yeah, yes. And how wicked Sodom and Gomorrah was,
Yeah,
that they deserved the fire and brimstone that they got. They got
like
glass.
direct divine
Uh,
intervention to get
yes.
rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, like not even Epstein got that kind of treatment.
Right.
Sodom and Gomorrah did. So, what were they doing? And we'll find
Right.
out on Judgment Day.
And
We'll
we
find
will
out.
find out.
But
Cliffhanger.
brother, yeah, that is like brother. Um, yeah.
You know what's scary though is oh, what do we
Lot offered his daughters because the females were naturally better than men lusting after angels slash strange fresh. Hence, Sodom and Gomorrah were pew pewed. Yes, they in fact got the pew pew laser. Um,
the Jewish space
what were you gonna say?
laser.
the oh man, okay. The first Jewish lawyer was
It all
Abraham, and the
makes
first
sense
Jewish
now.
space laser was Sodom Gomorrah. Oh yeah.
What I was gonna say is I hate to say it, and I hope God's
Yeah,
not listening,
yeah.
but
God's
when you
not
read
listening.
about Sodom and Gomorrah, are we really that far off these days?
No,
I don't think we are, and it makes me really
no.
uncomfortable. So I hope there's at
Yeah.
least 10 righteous. I mean, I know within our Discord group, we've got what, like 6 or 7 people? We need to get three more people so that
Uh, yeah.
maybe God will send
Okay.
angels to take us out of this place before he deals with it.
Yeah. Let's do a quick rundown of our morality as a world compared to Sodom and Gomorrah's.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
we
good,
we
good, good. Yeah.
rob we rob the poor
Hmm.
um, extensively. The rich are doing it pretty hardcore, but also foreign nations do it a bunch.
Hmm.
Um, we rob the rich as well, so we're thieves. You have all that stuff that was happening with the Somalis, with the fraud, and just, all of those people in general. We have a bunch of fraudsters. You have a bunch of like liars, a bunch of thieves. You have a bunch of Muslims coming in and raping and pillaging the West at the moment. You have the pride group, the sin group, because their sin is pride. So you have the sin group where they go and they say men are women and there's no difference there, and truth is relative. There's no God. They worship Satan, and then they do sodomy, and they do all sorts of wild, depraved, fetishistic orgies.
In
And then they have
public.
all these in public, even, yeah. They have the marches where they're basically just naked, going out celebrating sodomy, sex, wickedness, evil. You have people uh, glorifying murder of babies, abortion,
Hmm.
um, but straight up glorifying it, praising
Yeah.
it,
Straight
worshiping
up
it.
glorifying it and
Yes.
encouraging it.
Yeah. People masturbating to gore, and eating children, and assaulting children. All of those types of things are becoming more and more common, not less common. So pretty much everything that the Sodom and Gomorrah was doing, the world in general was doing. And it's not
Hmm.
just like, oh, the West is evil, which, yeah, the
Right.
West is filled with humans and humans are evil. But
Right.
even the East, Africa, like, there's no section of the world that is like more moral. than the other sections. They're all
I
kind
think
of suck.
that's, I guess, what I was saying is what was concerning to me is generally for the last several hundred years or thousands, when you talk about like Western culture, it has kind of
Mm,
been the bastion for morality, and now it's, I mean, it's more impressively messed up, I think, than because it was modeled after Christian ethics and Christian
right.
morality, and I feel like the West has kind of fallen now. You still have you still have Christianity to an extent, but there's a lot of Christianity now that's gone nutty. Uh, just not good times, I think. I think we'll the West will look at Sodom and Gomorrah on Judgment Day and be embarrassed.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Unfortunately, I do think like there are a variety of people living in the West right now that are worse than the people living in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Mm,
Crazy. I need to go pee. I'll be right back.
okay.
You can play with your plotting.
Well, I I didn't finish my plan, but we've gotten to a point in the conversation where it's a bit somber now, and doesn't feel right to make jokes. What's going on in the chat though? There's a couple of people getting all feisty in there, and credits to I can't really follow along because my brain isn't very good at multitasking, but I see Jack Ray's got things under control so far from what I've been able to read. Thank you, Jack, for holding down the fort for the rest of us while me and Chris go on with what we're talking about. But looks like looks like there's two feisty people in there, some stirring some stuff up. But looks like Jack Ray's got it handled, and a couple other people too. Yeah, there's a lot of quoting going on, which is interesting. I didn't realize quoting, especially without citation, is a form of debate. That's a new one for me. Never really seen that done before. I don't think it's very effective. I would recommend against it. So that's interesting. I was just going over the chat, Chris, while you were gone. I couldn't get to too much of it, but
Oh yeah.
I was complimenting Jack Ray. It looks like he's holding it down for us.
Hmm.
'Cause there's a lot of quotations going on, which I was just saying is an interesting way to support a topic is to to put quotes without citations, and then I guess we're just supposed to
Had to
take the
quote
quotes
yourself.
as
Yeah. It was yeah. Again, I just not worth
yeah, it was not
arguing for
very
me at the
edifying. It was
moment.
not very edifying.
Yeah. But okay, let's try to finish 19.
Yeah, all right.
There's not that long of a section. And I mostly just want to talk about um we'll mostly just read it and then I might exegete on two of the places, but
Okay.
more so this is like pretty quick and easy for this one.
Hmm.
Then the two angels came to Sodom in the evening as Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. Lot saw them and rose to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. The evening is interesting. So this is right after the meal. The meal probably took a couple hours to prepare, and he was sitting at noon. So they ate, and then he came down, and then the travel distance from Jerusalem, which is just northeast of where they were at in Mamre, down to Sodom is again a couple hours. So I don't know if they like flew there, teleported there, or literally just walked.
Hmm.
It's kind of interesting. But they are arriving in the evening. So this is, even if they're just like teleported there, that would still be roughly accurate for a time scale of when they appeared to Abraham initially, and then whenever they're coming into Sodom and Gomorrah to test them. Then Lot saw them and rose to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. And he said, Now behold, my lords, sorry, please turn aside into your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet, and then you may rise early and go on your way. They said, however, No, but we shall spend the night in the square to see what would happen to themselves. Yet he pressed them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered his house. And he made a feast for them and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. So again, whenever you have to cook quickly, you would just make unleavened bread.
Because dough has to rise.
Because dough has to rise, and you don't have time to wait. So he, again, is making unleavened bread. So we see this pattern of those who are holy and righteous in the Old Testament usually present unleavened bread to their guests.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of nifty. And again, points to Christ, but it
Mm-hmm.
points to the sacrifices, which also point to Christ. So we have a righteous man, Lot, baking the bread, and they're eating. It's unleavened. Before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, surrounded the house from young to old, all the people from every quarter. So this is generational sin. We went
Mm-hmm.
over this in a previous stream, but um, this is from the young to the old. This is like teenagers to grandpas. Every man who could, theoretically be vigorous for intercourse, they approach the house in order to sodomize the men. So this is likely like thousands of men, which is wildly evil. And we see this exact same thing happen in Judges with the girl. She had a train ran on her
Yeah.
by hundreds of men. Um, so like
To the
one
point of it
one woman,
basically killing her.
yeah, she literally had. It doesn't even seem to be the case that she was like beaten during the process. She just was
Right.
raped to the point of death.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have hundreds or thousands of men doing that to you, you are going to essentially become a bloody hole.
It's so gruesome and horrible.
It, extremely gruesome. But notice, this actually still happens. Like, I mean, I've seen footage of this happening in Islamic countries to women, but uh, the men towards the end are still using something that essentially is bleeding at that point, and they're fine with it. So they're having
Yeah.
intercourse through the blood.
I mean, total dehumanization.
Yeah, like literally just a sack for me to penetrate to pleasure myself. Um, Wickedly evil.
Yeah.
And that's what they were planning on doing to these men. But it wasn't a vagina meant to handle that. It was his anus or their anuses. So this is
Mm-hmm.
even more gruesome when you think about it, that rip's significantly worse.
Yeah.
Um, which I don't need to like go into the specifics of what happens to men when this happens to, but you do form extra holes. So anyway, um, you would die from this,
Yeah. Right.
and they called to law. So it's not the homosexuality; it is the generational sin. It's the generational, like from the young to the old. It's not just a group of dudes. It is generation. So it's like my father and my father's father, my father's father taught me this is how I treat people who come into our city, and
And
I'm going to do it too.
right. And so we have this particular incident recorded, but if this is obviously what they do when a stranger comes. So especially for it to be multi-generational, this is what they do and this is what they have been doing.
Yes.
So
Yeah. It was expected, which is also
right.
why he said, "Hey, don't do not sit in the town square. Come
Right,
inside."
right, right.
This is likely something he's seen happen before. He didn't want it to
Mhm.
happen to these men. So Hebrews be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. And they called to Lot and said to him, Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we may know them. This is again the euphemism, or it's talking about, like, I
Mhm.
know her, or she knew me, or like, we want to experience them. And this is obviously sexually. So Lot went out to them at the doorway and shut the door behind him and said, I think actually the NIV literally just translate this as we so that we may have sex with them, which is pretty funny. But
Yeah,
Lot
that
went out
means.
to them at the doorway and shut the door behind him and said, please, my brothers, do not act wickedly. Now behold, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Please let me bring them out to you and do to them what is good in your eyes. Only do nothing to these men as much as they have come under the shelter of my roof. So now he is offering his virgin daughters to be raped by these men. And this would likely lead to their death, as just as we see in Judges. So this
Mm,
is him offering the death of his daughters being raped to death in order to provide for the men that were in the city. I would say that's probably sin myself. So even though he is counted as a righteous heart, um, this is not he's not a totally righteous individual. Yet even for his sake, someone who's not perfect, someone who's just an average level of morality in a good like good culture, uh,
mm,
even something like him, God was willing to spare. Now you can say, oh well, he was
yeah.
sparing him because of Abraham's account, Abraham's back, because Abraham loved Lot and because he had that relationship with him, he was sparing Lot because of that. But we do get in the New Testament that he had a righteous heart. But this is again, there's multiple times where Lot is sinning in his stories. Um, Now they're
Lot
not.
definitely seems
Oh,
much more like a regular guy. Like you look at Abraham and you're like, wow, that's an exceptional character.
right,
You look at Lot and you're
right.
like, okay, like s- he's Lot. He's something to look at. But so many times he kind of comes across as just like a typical person.
Hmm.
Doesn't live up to Abraham. Uh,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. To know means to become one with. To
mm,
cleave. Yeah. Uh, So, but they said, step aside. Furthermore, they said, this one came to sojourn already. He is persistently acting like a judge. So he is continually telling them, hey, don't do this. And this is again some wordplay. Um, he is judging, something like that.
let's see.
Uh,
يمرقش الله ويمر هذا لغور ويشبط. Yeah. And
he
yeah,
judges
so it's
judges.
yeah, and he judging,
Yeah, he judged judging. Uh,
which typically when you see that, like I think it might be similar to in the Torah when it mentions like, and you will surely die if you do think like if you don't fast on
mhm,
Yom Kippur, or if you work on Yom Kippur. I
mhm.
think it's when
He'll
Moth
die.
Tamuth, you will surely die. Like you
Mhm.
will death die.
Yeah, death
It's
die.
like I guess the most
You'll
emphatic
die.
way to say something.
Right,
But it is
right.
funny that they're viewing Lot as an outsider. Basically, they're like, oh, look at this guy. He thinks he can come in here and which is interesting.
Mhm.
And which also does kind of tie into what you were saying before of Lot being counted as righteous, even with his shortcomings. At least at least you can see here that the people of Sodom really didn't like him either. So that
Right,
says
yeah.
something for him.
Yeah.
Like,
He
ah,
that
no,
he
this is
keeps
just that
judging
weird
them.
guy that moved in and he thinks he's better than us. And
Exactly, yes. He did not assimilate into the culture of wickedness and evil.
right, right. To the point where they were fine to say it, like, oh, that's just him, he's
He's
this
the
this
outsider.
foreigner.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So we
So
need
he's
to
got
be
that going for him.
foreigners of the world. We need to be like
Hmm.
Lot in that way, where we are foreigners of this world,
Yeah,
where it's very easy, like even though you're counted as righteous because of the blood of Christ, we could just very easily live like the world, assimilate
blend
into the
in.
culture of this world, and
Hmm.
yet we're not supposed to. We're supposed to judge the world. We
Hmm.
are supposed to be the judges. We are supposed to be the judging judges who go out and say, "Hey, no, you're wicked," you know,
Unless you get the theology from TikTok where they say, doesn't the Bible say don't judge?
which is not true.
Correct, it
Yeah,
does
it's
not
just
say
not
that.
true.
That's
Uh,
half of the sentence, and it's not even what that
yeah,
sentence means.
yes, we are supposed to say, "Hey, you are wicked for having sex with men if you're a man.
Hmm.
You are. Now you're also wicked if you're having sex outside of marriage in general, and
Right.
gay marriage doesn't count as marriage.
Right.
Um, so if you're committing any type of sexual sin, pornography, sex outside of marriage, there's the term for it, I can't think of them at the moment because it's currently almost 1 a.m. Uh,
Oh wow. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, it's almost 2 a.m. for me.
it's 2 for you, yeah. Which means we need to finish quickly. Like, doesn't matter what your sin is. We as Christians are supposed to be calling that out into the world,
Hmm.
and be bold in it. And yeah, as Jack said, we are in the world, but not of the world.
Right.
Yeah. So this is
Chris,
pretty.
you keep going
Yep.
on. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Things seem to move
Um,
faster when I go.
okay. So they pressed hard against Lot and stepped back to break the door. Actually, no, I missed that. So they said, "Step aside, furthermore, this is acting like a judge. Now we will treat you more weakly than them." So they pressed hard against Lot and stepped back to break up the door. So they were going to, I don't know what they were going to plan to do to him. If, the rest of it was pretty bad there. But um, oh, thank you, brother, for I guess staying up through the night. Appreciate you. Go kill it at work. Hopefully you actually slept and just stay up watching YouTube. But yeah, we'll throw out a prayer for you at the end of the stream. But the men reached out their hands and brought Lot into the house with them and shut the door. And they struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness from small to great, so that they were wearied. So they wearied themselves trying to find the doorway. So he took away their sight, which is great. So like God restores the sight of the innocent and the righteous in the New Testament and the Old Testament. He takes away the sight of the wicked. So there's some beautiful little symbolism between those two events. Um, then the two men said to Lot, "Whom else have you have here? A son-in-law and your sons and your daughters and everyone else in the city. Bring them out of the place, for we are about to destroy this place because their outcry has become great before Yahweh. So Yahweh has sent us to destroy it." And Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-laws and who were to marry his daughters and said, "Get up, get out of this place, for Yahweh will destroy the city." But he appeared to his son-in-laws to be jesting, to be joking. Now, at the beginning of breaking of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest ye be swept away in the punishment of the city." Um, but he hesitated, so the men seized his hand and the hand of his wife and the hands of his 2 daughters, for the compassion of Yahweh was upon him, and they brought him out and put him out in the city, to the side of the city. Now it happened. You're welcome, brother. Um, yeah, we'll pray for you a little bit. Ian, I'm assuming is your name, but if not, we'll just call you Costa. So now it happened as they brought them outside. One said, "Escape for your life. Do not look back and do not stay anywhere in the valley. Escape to the mountains, lest you be swept away." But Lot said to them, "Oh no, my lords. Now behold, your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have magnified your loving kindness, which you have shown me by preserving my life. But I cannot escape to the mountains, lest calamity overtake me and I die. Now behold, this town is near enough to flee to, and it is small. Please let me escape there. Is it not small, that my life may be preserved?" And he said to him, "Behold, I grant you this request also, that I will not overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I cannot do anything until you have arrived there." Therefore, in the name of the city was called Zor, which means literally like small. The sun had risen over the earth when Lot came to Zor, and Yahweh rained on Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from Yahweh out of heaven. So we have a Yahweh on earth and a Yahweh in heaven, one raining fire from the other. So this is again just a Trinitarian verse. You have two Yahwehs here. Yeah, 1, 2. Straight up, two Yahwehs. This city, we actually know it's the city that didn't burn. In the destruction layer of the plane, you actually have one city that did not burn and is not covered in sulfur. Brimstone is sulfur. It is balls of sulfur all over the valley of the plain of the Dead Sea, and especially on the banks of the Dead Sea. We find these sulfur balls. Sodom and Gomorrah, the whole plain was described a well-watered place, It's not anymore. It's a desert, but it
Hmm.
and it's like an insanely salty sea. But
Yeah.
anywhere those sulfur balls hit water, they were extinguished and preserved inside of the burn layer. So you can actually go to this area now and just like dust the sides of walls of like dirt walls, and sulfur balls fall out. There's so much sulfur in this area. It's amazing. And a lot of it was preserved because of the water there, and then it like made the Dead Sea so salty because of all the death and everything else that was petrified at that moment in time. So the Dead Sea is so salty because of all the vegetation and life that was ended, and it accrued so much salt all at once. And we have a bunch
Chris,
of
before you
archaeological
go on,
evidence for this.
I
Yeah,
heard you. You're in my ears when I go, but I heard
yeah.
something that, and I had never really thought about it before, and so I just wanted to point it out in verse 9 when they say, "Now we will treat you worse than them," or
Hmm.
however your translation renders it.
Right.
Does this not demonstrate that they knew that they were being wicked? This wasn't just like passive cultural
Hmm.
wickedness. They knew what they were
Hmm.
doing was evil because they
Hmm.
said, "We're going to do
Hurrah.
worse to you."
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a
Literally, the word they
society
used
that,
was bad. Like,
right, this is a
right.
society that glorifies wickedness, uh, which
Yep.
is,
Literal Satanist.
yeah.
Yeah.
And in a term
People.
like today, when you talk about Satanists, it can get cloudy in ways of like, the people that are the mainliners of the Church of Satan say, oh, it's not, we don't actually worship Satan, this is more of a free will glorify, but I guess that's kind of the same thing. But if you were to ask them, they wouldn't tell you that they were doing wickedness.
Yeah.
They would
Yeah.
think they're living out in pure freedom, like kind of moral anarchy, I guess. But here we have these people where they're acknowledging that they intended to do wickedness, and now they're going to step it up. That's a very scary. What a terrible place! What a terrible place Sodom and Gomorrah were.
So evil. Yeah. I mean, again, it's like Epstein. Like, just like
Yeah.
there was one of the girls that was being abused and eventually killed on the island. She was praying to Jesus, and
Oh, I
Epstein's
saw
remark
that.
on that was, "You should dress up like her the next time you go and grape her,"
Ugh.
and laughed about it
Oh boy.
because she was praying for Jesus to save her. And Epstein's
Yeah.
response was, "Yeah, you should go dress up as Jesus and then do it more."
Oh, that's stomach
That is
churning wickedness.
this is Sodom Gomorrah. That is alive today. It's becoming, not only is it alive today, Hollywood is actively trying to make it normal,
Yeah.
acceptable, the standard. So they're trying to get you to want to do cannibalism. They're trying to get you to want to do incest. They're trying to get you to
Well,
want
and
to
and
kill
euthanasia
people
now is a big
and
thing.
euthanasia. Yeah, yeah. So
And we're not talking about
ritualistically
young
killing your
Chinese people,
animal
by the way.
or children and then eating it.
Sorry, there's my
Um,
bad dad joke for the
yeah,
stream.
yeah. Uh, but that is true ultimate Satanism, and Sodom and Gomorrah was a Satanist society, which
Yeah,
is what the elite are trying to get. Let's say elite, they're really just garbage humans.
yeah.
The rich are trying to get
The
to
rich.
happen everywhere. Yeah,
What is it? What Chris? What is the New Testament site that I'm thinking of where I think it's Jesus where he's talking about how Sodom and Gomorrah will fare better than you on the day of judgment.
that's Stadium.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
Stadium. Yeah,
yeah.
that's Stadium.
That's
Yeah,
rough. That's rough. My goodness.
because they knowingly rejected Christ.
Yeah, yeah.
They saw the miracles that he did. They saw the feeding of the 5,000, and they rejected him.
Sadly, there's people in my life who have done that, and people that I care a lot about, and it's difficult to
Yeah,
weighs on your heart when you see that, because ah,
Yeah.
Really, the more I
So
hear about this Satan guy, the more I don't like him.
it
It's the old Norm Macdonald joke.
was Hitler. That's great. Uh, so I saw a documentary where a man took a submersible under the Dead Sea and saw buildings. I have never heard of that. I'll look into it. Um,
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard of that either. I've seen some really interesting documentaries on Sodom and Gomorrah where, I mean, even to this day, where like the Dead Sea is, where there are actual pillars of salt
yeah, I was about to bring that
still
up.
to this
There are
day.
literal, they were literal pillars of salt at the Dead Sea.
Mm,
So he overthrew those cities in the valley and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. Then his wife from behind him looked back and she became a pillar of salt. So this literally exists at the Dead
yeah,
Sea. Now Abraham
to
arose
this
early in the
day.
morning to this day and went to the place where he had stood before Yahweh. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the valley, land of the valley, and he saw, and behold, the smoke of the land went up like the smoke of a furnace. And these are the black smoke furnaces that they used to
Mm.
use. It's very thick, obnoxious smoke. Thus it happened when God destroyed the cities of the valley that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow when he overthrew the cities in which Lot lived. Now, this verse you might be able to use to justify that Lot actually wasn't that righteous, that it wasn't because of his righteousness that God spared him, it was
But for
because of
Abraham.
Abraham's sake that he spared him. But you do get in the New Testament that Lot is called a man who has a heart of righteousness. And
And
he
we
did.
do see Lot being
Yeah.
hospitable
Yeah.
and
And
also
being
being
separate
mocked
from
by
their
the people of
culture.
the city of
Yeah.
oh, he's not like us, he came here and who's he to
Right.
tell us what's right and wrong. So,
Right. So it's like a combination of the two working
mm,
together for that. And Lot went up from Zoar and stayed in the mountains, and his two daughters with him, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. I totally get that. And he stayed in the
yeah.
cave, he and his two daughters, especially because Zohar. So this, I was going to bring this up earlier. Zohar was part of the city of the plain. They were part of the judgment. They should have burned. They didn't because of Lot.
Yeah.
So Lot saved a bunch of people. That's a small
Mm,
town. We don't know
right.
how many people were there. Might have just been 10, but it was a small little town. The border I've seen of it is still really small because you can actually go to that place right now. You can There's Zohar still exists. You can go look at the cave in which he and his daughters procreated. Um, it's labeled like you can go there and find
Oh
it
wow, really?
and
They
like
have
enter
like
it.
the
Yeah,
the the
yeah. They have
alleged
a little.
cave.
They have a plaque in front of the cave that says this is where Lot had intercourse with his daughters. Not in those
What a
exact
thing
words,
to
but
be
it's
known for.
close to that. I know, right? Like, but actually, they have a monastery there. It's really cool. The floor of the monastery is a map of the plains with all the cities that were there,
Oh
and it has
wow.
Zohar as the one that survived. It's really, really quite impressive. Um, yeah, man, I wish I could do more stuff with archaeology on the channel. I just can't. Um,
Mm.
Joel Kramer, Expedition Bible, he did one or two videos on this topic. Go check them out. The City That Didn't Burn is one of them, and I think Evidence for Sodom and Gomorrah. If you just do Sodom and Gomorrah Expedition Bible, you'll find it very much worth the watch. We have so much archaeology to confirm Genesis 19. It's
Oh,
insane.
Chris, did you say Expedition Bible? Is that
Hmm.
the YouTube channel with that guy that's like a regular type of guy? Am I thinking of the same thing? Where he
Probably.
where he uncovered like thousands of baby bones around some
Hmm.
altars? Oh
Hmm.
wow, okay. Yeah, I saw his channel years ago, I think, and I thought this is too good to be. It seemed like it wasn't that big of a thing. Uh,
Yeah, no, he's written some books. He was on with
Oh,
Sean
wow,
McDowell.
okay. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's a very cool channel. Yeah.
yeah, he has I think he has a million subs. Like he's one of the biggest Christian
Wow,
channels.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
good,
think he's in like
awesome.
top 10 or top 20 Christian YouTube channel followers.
Wow. That's
Um,
the thing. The archaeology's there. It really is.
it really
Uh,
is, yeah.
it's very
It's
cool.
an embarrassing amount of archaeology we have for the
Yeah.
Bible. Um,
Well, and again,
yeah.
any honest person, if evidence is what matters,
Right.
there's plenty. There's plenty.
It's true.
For
Yeah,
everything, really.
it's true. Yeah. So then his daughters said, "Oh, our father is old. There's not a man on earth to come in after us in the manor." Why do they think that there's not a man on earth left? It could either be
Mm.
hyperbole, or they think that the whole world just got glassed, like
Which is what
the
I
flood.
think. Right.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what I think. I think they're
Like
looking and they're like, that's it. You know, it's
there's nothing left. Yep. Um,
and it which
and our
also
father's not.
illustrates how cataclysmic the destruction must have been. It must have been
Yep.
well, and I mean, again, to take out a whole city with fire from heaven, you would expect so, but
Mhm.
it clearly made an impression on them that we've just s- somehow we just survived the end of the world. It must have been a really a
Crazy.
sight to see.
Yes. Yeah. And then they also would have known the stories of the flood because it's not that many generations away
Right.
from the
Oh,
flood.
right. Yeah.
So God had already destroyed the planet once. They knew that.
Right.
And then they saw that. They're like, oh, I guess God destroyed the planet again.
Yeah.
I guess we're the new Noah. Let's
Yeah.
procreate and refill the earth. So come, let us make our father drink wine, and let us lie with him that we may preserve our seed through our father. Why did they have wine in the cave? Because that is your drinking water in general.
Hmm.
And they just made him drink more than necessary to keep living.
Well,
So then
and
he got
if
drunk.
what I've read is true, that wine was, I mean, there was different levels of wine, but it
Potency.
was
Yeah.
right, right, and so
Right.
wine was still would have been alcoholic, but not like uh
Inebriating.
just a,
Yeah.
right, right, because because it was fermented and everything. It was safe to drink. Uh,
Mm,
whereas water could go bad. Wine can't really go bad in that way, and so it was kind of the
right.
thing you took with you.
Right. You would need some fermented liquid to survive.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you would get a wide variety of terrible diseases that you do not
Yes.
want to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a reason why the military gives you the chlorine tablets or whatever it was.
Charcoal. When I
Um
was a kid, even in Texas, uh,
yeah,
and for some reason I don't know why, but
it wasn't
on the
charcoal,
back of our
but you can use
menus
charcoal. Yeah.
there was it was all these warnings about cholera and what to do if you
Mm,
get cholera, which is crazy to think.
mhm.
Like this is in Texas, so and it was on the Mexican border, but still, uh, I mean that's the only reason I know what cholera is because I like to read, and on
Oh,
the
it's
back of
bad.
our school lunch menus, it would be like, if you get
Yeah.
cholera, and it would say drink a glass of water with charcoal in it, because I guess the charcoal absorbs the bacteria or whatever cholera is, and allows it
Mhm.
to go through your system and like flush it out of your system. And I remember
Mhm.
thinking when I was a kid, like drinking charcoal, that sounds terrible. But it
Yeah,
you
no.
know it's a very serious thing. You can die very quickly from something as what we would consider in the West like diarrhea. It's like, oh, that wasn't fun.
Oh,
But
especially back then, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Like for most people in history, and even today, like diarrhea still kills a bunch of people in Africa. Diarrhea is one of the most dangerous. Like if you don't have modern medicine and access to water,
Hmm.
um, getting diarrhea then is basically death.
Yeah.
And it's not a fun death. It's a very annoying
Isn't
and
that one of
painful
those
death.
funny memes from I don't know if if you ever played it as a kid in school, Chris, the Oregon Trail, where it's like somebody
Got
died of
diarrhea and died.
dysentery. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, oh,
dysentery.
oh
Yes.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty common. Um, anyway, yes. So that would be why they would have wine in general. And they would have different wines for different occasions, and then maybe
Mm,
some older stuff that would be more fermented. So they may
potent.
have, yeah, potent. They may like, well, why was he okay drinking wine? Well, everyone drank wine. You had to.
Mm,
So if they just swapped the wines and maybe they got it from the city before they came out, or just in the cave because people would store things in caves, uh,
right.
that would and then also caves are used for fermenting. So maybe they found fermented wine in the cave, swapped it with the fresh
Mm,
wine, got him drunk, and then you know did the wham bam. So they made the father drink the night, and then the firstborn laid with the father. She did not know when he laid up, went down. And now what happened the following day that the firstborn said to the younger, behold, at last night lay with the father, and let us make him drink wine together. May go in and preserve our seed through her father. So getting pregnant from a one-off is very impressive. Um, so who knows if this was literally a one-off or if it was multiple times. But they both got pregnant. Um, so kind of incredible. So they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger rose and lay with him, and they did not know it. And she lay down and got up. Thus both the daughters of Lot conceived by their father, and the firstborn a son, and called his name Moab, the father of the Moabites to this day. As for the younger, she also bore a son, called his name Benamai, literally the son of my dad.
Well, and also Moab, it's not technically correct grammatically, but Mayav would be from
Meow,
father.
from
So
father. Yeah,
I would
yeah,
imagine it's related to that.
yes. So you have from father and from dad, or son of my dad.
Son of my
Uh,
people, technically, right? But
son,
but I
yeah,
mean, that's what
of my
it definitely
lineage,
is.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They both. So basically, for those who don't know the Hebrew, both of these kids are basically called incest baby.
Right. Yeah.
Imagine naming your son incest baby. Wow. Anyway, he's the father of the sons of Ammon to this day. So as I mentioned earlier, he basically gave his daughters away to be raped to death, and likewise, he was raped by his daughters. So there's like the tit for tat there, where he was
Hmm.
fine for it happening to them, and therefore it happened to him. Um, and then he was drunk. So actually, the Bible is a bit careful to distinguish that he didn't just have like carnal pleasure with his daughters, but that
Uh,
they kind of maneuvered the situation. He wasn't cognizant, he wasn't aware of it in the future. So um the wording is almost similar to the way that like the rabbis try to whitewash history, but it was
hmm.
original to the text. So there is this very careful in the Hebrew like makes a distinction like yeah, he wasn't aware of this exact thing happening.
Hey, that's a great point,
He
Chris, because
yeah,
in this incident, it's explicit that he was unaware.
yes.
Whereas the other times, like with Sarah and Hagar, or with David and Bathsheba, it's explicit that it was intentional. But they
Yes.
think, well, nah, that doesn't sound very good. Uh, messing with stuff, not a good idea. We let the Bible talk for itself.
Yeah.
It does a
When it
very
comes
good
like for
job. It
Latino
is a clear book.
is a very
Oh.
clear book for Latinos one time, isn't it? Also, incest and assault of a drunk father is sick. It is.
Mhm.
You're right. It's wicked. It's evil. And the Bible records it.
Yep.
Why?
Yep.
Because it actually happened.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, why would the Jews make that up? And that happens a lot. I mean, it happens to Dinah. Like,
Yeah.
happens to David's kids.
And
Like,
also with
David's
Dinah,
daughter and
they
David's
don't
son had intercourse because he raped her.
right.
So, like, it happens a bunch.
But also with Dinah, they don't even handle it well. They handle it in a way that I think a lot
Right.
of people would understand, but that
Right.
was messed up. Who was it? It was it Reuben, and there was two. There was two
Simon?
brothers. Maybe, yeah,
Um, it was the older brothers.
yeah, Reuben was the firstborn. I think it was
Yeah.
him, and it was either Simeon or Judah. But they came up with this whole thing where they actually, I would say, borderline blasphemy. They lured them into joining their people through
Oh
circumcision,
yeah. Yeah. Super blasphemy.
which is really
Yeah,
messed up
it's
because they only
super
did it
messed
so
up.
that they could slaughter them. And
Hmm.
that's completely not correct. But again, here we have several times, I mean, throughout the entire Bible, we
Hmm.
have historical records of people who we look to for several reasons as being heroes, we see their shortcomings. And this is also written during a time when, like, try to find a failure on an Egyptian monument. You won't. The Egyptians did not record their failures. It was typical to leave out the shortcomings and just talk about the good you did. And here we have, throughout the history of the Bible and the recorded books, the heroes of the Bible had serious issues, and they're recorded.
Hmm.
I mean, I think David is probably the most, well, Moses too, because at least with David, when David messes
Simeon
up, you look at David and
Bible
you're like,
would have been.
David, that's very bad. But with Moses, it feels so bad for Moses because of all he went through. And he lost his temper that one time, and it was a very serious repercussion that he had to go through. And then even when we were talking about how God is talking with Abraham earlier, when Moses is begging God, just let me get into the promised land, and God says, that's enough. We're not talking about this anymore. You're like, oh, Moses. Like, you just feel so bad for Moses. Uh but it's all
Yeah.
in there, the shortcomings of the heroes. There's only one throughout the whole storyline that doesn't let you down, and that's Jesus. It's the only one.
Hmm.
But even
Yep.
him, even with him, we get his struggle in Gethsemane when he's telling God, if there's any way this cup could pass from me, which is why, if there's anybody out there who's going to be celebrating Passover this Friday night, we stay up all night in honor of that moment. Uh, for two reasons, we stay up because of the first Exodus when they had to leave that night, but also for what we
Mm.
call the second Passover with Jesus, the Last Supper. He goes into the Garden of Gethsemane to pray, and he's up all night. And of course, the disciples, they've just had a nice Passover, they've had some wine, they've ate some good food, and they're falling asleep. And he comes back, guys, wake up, wake up. So it's Jesus really is the the perfect example of everything. And what an honor, what a humbling honor to be counted uh as his friend.
Yeah. And God is so good. Amazing.
Mhm.
It was Levi and Simeon for the brothers that went
Oh,
and
okay.
killed all the Shechemites. Um, yeah. Okay, any last thoughts before we pray?
No, I'm eager to get to the praying part. I like that part. Because
uh,
because everybody, again, consider this. We just spent the last several hours talking about how awesome God is, and now just wherever we are, we get to talk to him. That's that's pretty crazy.
it is indeed. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Lord, for taking care of us and helping us to spend time together, spend community together, and help people learn about you and learn about your word. Thank you for guiding anyone who needs to hear this to come and listen to it and affect their heart in the way that you want it to, that seeds are planted and seeds are watered and grown, and that you are preparing the harvest, Lord. Lord, we pray for Ian Costa and everyone else in the Europe right now that are struggling under the oppression of their governments and the oppression of migrants and everything else coming against them. There is protection for your people and healing for your people, and that the gospel is being preached fearlessly. And Lord, we pray also for Mr. Costa specifically, that he is restored and rejuvenated if he did stay up all night, that he has energy to face the day. And thank you, Lord, for guiding our feet and our hands and our words, that we are glorifying you in all of our actions, and we are leading people to you in truth and in love. that you are helping all of the ministries all over the world reach people in ways that they need. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, well, it is 1 o'clock, so you should both go to sleep.
Yeah.
Um, okay. We'll stream here probably Wednesday, with Chase and Andrew of Sons of Thunder Apologia. And yeah, we might talk about the Bible, we might talk about Islam, I'm not sure, but we're talking about something. Anyway, probably not gonna be streaming on Thursday. We'll probably go back to Monday, Wednesday streams for a bit. So, thank you, Stephen, for joining me and for not sleeping yourself. And may the Lord bless you with strength and energy for yourself for tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, as always, thank you, Chris,
Yeah.
for having me on, and thanks everybody for hanging out with us. And next Monday, God willing, if there's a stream, I will be almost halfway through the week of unleavened bread. So maybe I'll have some fun show and tell matzah. I make my own matzah because the stuff you buy in the
Oh,
box at the
nice.
store is terrible.
Right,
It
as it should
works.
be. Yes.
It works, but we make soft matzah. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll
Oh,
do a
it's
little
so much
Passover
better.
show and tell. I'm really excited. I've got a lot of cleaning to do this week though to get all the leaven out of the house, and we've got some food to eat so that we don't have to throw it away. But I'll see you guys God willing in the midst of Passover week. So that'll be super fun because I'll also be off work, and then I can really
Very
stay
jealous of
up.
that myself. Yeah. No, I just need to start keeping the festival so I have an excuse to take vacation.
Yep, it
That's what
works, Chris.
uh,
It's I've missed out on a lot of worldly things, but would never take it back for a second because Passover with God is a any of the holy days with God is a life-changing experience every time, 7 times a year. Can't endorse it enough.
as Milk Waffle said earlier, Laila Tov.
Yeah, Laila
Good
Tov.
night. Shalom. May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit with you always. Goodbye.